Chapter 283. In order to avoid being like Great Shun, they ordered that no players could be brought back to the village, and they could only move about within the system main cities. Anyone who knew the location of the village was either killed or kept under strict control in the real world. Moreover, they increased the benefits of the village members and increased their loyalty to the village. They got rid of those who were just waiting to die and had no loyalty, and all of the village members became elites. It seemed that having more people wasn't enough. What was important was how many people were loyal to you and how many people were willing to help you in times of danger. Zhao Fu didn't try to suppress the four legatees anymore, as that wasn't very effective and would alert them. Zhao Fu wanted to catch them off guard so that the effects would be more pronounced. Right now, the most important thing was the location of their village, but since they couldn't find it, Zhao Fu could only put this matter aside. Qin City returned to normal, and the soldiers' cultivations greatly increased. It was almost impossible for villages in the wilderness to have Stage 1 soldiers. Production and business continued to be as they were. Zhao Fu used the 292 city creation stones that he had obtained last time and distributed them within 500 kilometers of Qin City. Now, Qin City controlled a range of 2,000 kilometers, and this 500-kilometer area was absolutely safe. Zhao Fu left a few soldiers in each village to maintain normal operations. Seeing so many villages, Zhao Fu felt quite happy. In the next few days, Zhao Fu allowed these villages to develop. At that moment, news spread that a few regions had allied together and were going to hold a super auction in Kong Willow City in 3 days. Zhao Fu was quite interested in this auction because there would definitely be many good things, so he started to prepare money. In the blink of an eye, 3 days passed. Because the generals were all busy, Zhao Fu only brought Tuoba Qing and Wang Ergu to a system main city in Kong Willow City. This system main city was called Azure Willow City, and this was the system main city that was going to hold the super auction. It was said that the city lords and some major figures from the surrounding regions were coming. Even though every region had a void zone, with the city lord's strength, crossing these void zones was quite easy. This auction had also attracted the attention of countless people. Almost all the factions in Kong Willow City had come. At this moment, Azure Willow City was also overcrowded. When Zhao Fu arrived with Tuoba Qing and Wang Ergu, they saw a sea of people, and the noise was somewhat ear-piercing. Zhao Fu hurriedly brought them to a huge building. This building was more than 10 meters tall and had 4 floors. It was made of wood, and lanterns hung from the eaves. The red paint was also very grand. It covered an area of more than 600 acres and could accommodate tens of thousands of people. This was the auction venue. Right now, there were hundreds of guards with powerful auras maintaining order on the stone steps of the venue. The entrance was already crowded with people. Those who wanted to enter the auction had to pay 5 gold coins. 5 gold coins were equivalent to 50,000 copper coins, which was equivalent to $500,000 in the real world. This was not an auction that ordinary factions could attend. Zhao Fu squeezed his way over and handed over an invitation. The guard looked at it and called a female attendant to bring Zhao Fu into the auction hall, and they went to a room. The room was very elegantly decorated, and it was most likely a private room. As for the invitation, it had cost Zhao Fu hundreds of gold coins. Ever since the Red Plum auction, Zhao Fu had experienced the feeling of being squeezed, and he didn't want to experience it again. There were also VIP and Supreme rooms. VIP rooms cost thousands of gold coins, and Zhao Fu didn't lack gold coins. However, he didn't want to be so picky, and a private room was enough. As for the Supreme rooms, no matter how much gold coins one spent, one wouldn't be able to obtain one. After all, those were for the city lords and major figures, and ordinary people didn't even dare to think about them. Because there was still some time before the auction began, a female attendant brought in some fruits, desserts, and tea. Tuoba Qing helped Zhao Fu peel a tangerine and carefully removed the white strands. She gave a shy smile as she tore off a piece and brought it to Zhao Fu's mouth, saying, "Your Majesty, eat this tangerine. Your Majesty, eat this tangerine." Zhao Fu smiled and ate the tangerine. Seeing this, Wang Ergu felt that this was a good opportunity to show off, so he also picked up a tangerine and started to peel it. He had wanted to ask Zhao Fu to eat a tangerine, but seeing that the flesh of the tangerine had already been peeled, he couldn't bring it out, so he could only eat it himself. The three of them chatted for a while, and after a while, the auction officially began. The first floor was already filled with people. The windows of the other 2 and 3 floors were also opened, looking at the stone platform below. A white-haired elder with a ruddy complexion walked up. This elder's aura was quite powerful, and he had stage 3 cultivation. Everyone, welcome to the auction. The auction will now officially begin. Bring up the first item. The elder's voice was incredibly loud and clear, suppressing all of the noise in the auction hall. A beautiful female attendant brought up a violet or on a tray and walked onto the stage. This violet or looked like jade and was as big as a fist. It gave off a fiery light and was quite hot, and it looked quite extraordinary. The elder started to introduce it, saying, "Violet fire jade. It's a silver-grade material that can be used to forge silver-grade equipment. Because of violet fire jade's special attributes, the equipment forged from it will be much better than ordinary silver-grade equipment. The starting price is 5,000 silver coins. Everyone please bid." Zhao Fu had never thought that the first item would be a silver-grade material. Normally, the first item would be an ordinary item, but it seemed that there would be many good items later on. 6,000 silver coins. Those who could enter the auction all had some strength, and this amount of money was not much to them. As such, people immediately started to bid. However, they were quickly outbid by others, and after a few rounds of bidding, the violet fire jade was sold for 15,000 silver coins. The second item was quickly brought up, and it was a medicinal bottle. The elder started to introduce it, saying, "1 body pill, a stage 3 medicinal pill. It has great healing effects on external injuries and removes all scars. There are 10 of them in the bottle, and the starting price is 7,000 silver coins." Healing medicinal pills were just as popular as cultivation medicinal pills because they could save lives in critical moments. As such, no matter how expensive they were, people would still buy a few. This 1 body pill was quite popular among the people present. 10,000 silver coins. At the start, someone raised the price by 3,000 silver coins, but it was still easily outbid. In the end, the 1 body pill was sold for 24,000 silver coins. Right now, only the people on the first level were bidding, and the people on the second and third levels were silent. Chapter 284. After the elderly man finished his introduction, the starting price for this item was 10,000 silver coins. However, no one seemed to be interested in this item. Indeed, this item was quite useless to ordinary people, and if it wasn't for the fact that Zhao Fu needed this item for the god-killing plan, it would have been completely useless to Zhao Fu. After the elderly man called out the starting price, the auction hall fell silent, and no one dared to bid. The elderly man awkwardly called out a second time, but the auction hall was still silent, and no one dared to bid. The elderly man was about to call out a third time, and if no one dared to bid, he would have someone take the item away. 10,000 silver coins. A calm voice sounded out from a private room on the second level. Seeing that no one dared to bid, Zhao Fu let out a sigh of relief and called out a bid. Hearing this bid, a trace of a smile appeared on the elderly man's face. He asked around, and after confirming that no one dared to bid, the item was obtained by Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu immediately had Wang Ergu take the money and go to the backstage to get the item. Zhao Fu did not want anything unexpected to happen, as he had been looking for this item for a long time. If he lost it, who knew when he would be able to carry out the god-killing plan? Zhao Fu had been looking for this item for a long time, and if he lost it, who knew when he would be able to carry out the god-killing plan? Wang Ergu immediately took the money and went out. Soon, he returned with a small bottle, and Wang Ergu looked quite confused. He didn't know why Zhao Fu wanted this item. Zhao Fu took the bottle and removed the cork. Inside the bottle was a colorless liquid that didn't have any smell or color. After looking at its description, Zhao Fu let out a sigh of relief and put it away. This was quite normal, and it was just a bid from a private room, so it didn't attract much attention. The fourth item was quickly brought up. It was 3 talisman papers. The 3 talisman papers were white, and there were profound runes drawn on them with black ink. The talisman papers were 3 fingers thick and 15 centimeters long. The elderly man quickly introduced them, saying, 10-kilometer teleportation talisman. After using it, one can teleport anywhere within 10 kilometers, and it also has a restrictive effect. In other words, ordinary isolation abilities won't be able to stop it from being used. This talisman is quite precious and is quite rare. The starting price is 12,000 silver coins. The 10-kilometer teleportation talisman was one of the best ways to escape, and many people valued it. 13,000 silver coins. 15,000 silver coins. 19,000 silver coins. In the end, the 3 10-kilometer teleportation talismans were sold for 40,000 silver coins. This person wasn't Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu still had a 10,000-kilometer teleportation talisman that he had not used yet, so he was not very interested in this 10-kilometer teleportation talisman. Moreover, this teleportation talisman could only go through normal restrictions and could not go through intermediate restrictions. After the 4th item was sold, more and more items were brought up, and they were undoubtedly of high quality. The number of people bidding in the private rooms on the 2nd floor gradually increased, and the scene became livelier. Now, the 19th item was sold. This item was a large hammer that was green and seemed to be made of stone. There were pictures of demons engraved on both sides of the hammer, and it gave off a powerful and strange feeling. Green Demon Hammer, an exquisite silver-grade weapon. Its stats are also exquisite, and it has a shattering effect. The starting price is 250,000 silver coins. The elderly man quickly introduced the equipment stats, and the people below started to bid intensely. In the end, it was sold for 600,000 silver coins. It was won by a person wearing a cloak and looking quite muscular. This surprised the people on the 1st floor. After all, it was very difficult for them to take out so much money. Zhao Fu didn't bid because the auction was only halfway through and the best items were still to come. Following this, more and more items were brought up. His gaze shifted to the 26th item. At this time, all the items were gold rank. The 26th item was an arrow. This arrow was completely fire red and was made of crystal. It looked quite beautiful and gave off a powerful fire attribute energy. The elder explained, the flame arrow is a gold-grade arrow that contains a massive amount of fire attribute energy. It can deal a lot of damage to enemies, and it also has a homing effect. Even if someone doesn't know how to shoot an arrow, as long as they shoot it, the flame arrow will automatically shoot towards the enemy. More importantly, this arrow can be used repeatedly. It's not a one-time consumable. Flame arrow? What Zhao Fu found quite interesting was that it could automatically track enemies and could be used repeatedly. The starting price for this arrow was 400,000 silver coins, and Zhao Fu made a bid. However, it was quickly outbid by someone else. In the end, the flame arrow was won by a person in a VIP room on the 3rd floor for 1 million silver coins. The 30th item was a white fruit that was as big as a lychee. It had a smooth surface and gave off a sweet and enchanting smell. This is a stage 4 life fruit. It can raise F grade to B grade and C grade to a grade. However, it can only be used by people below S grade. After the elderly man finished his introduction, the indigenous residents went into an uproar. It was evident just how shocked they were by the life fruit. Things that could change one's grade were incredibly rare and precious, but the players weren't very interested. After all, the players' stats pages didn't show their grades, so they didn't care too much. Because Zhao Fu had the heaven and earth refining formation, he wasn't very interested in the life fruit. However, the indigenous residents started to bid intensely. The starting price for the life fruit was 500,000 silver coins, but it quickly broke past 5 million silver coins. Suddenly, a kind-looking elderly man walked out from a VIP room and bowed as he said, "Everyone, I'm the leader of the 3 River Cities Deng family. I hope that everyone can give this old man this life fruit." I'll be eternally grateful if you can give it to this old man. 2 million silver coins. This elderly man seemed to be in need of a life fruit. He didn't know what kind of family the Dang family was, but it was most likely very powerful. After hearing this, everyone's expressions changed. The elderly man had only bowed to the city lords in the upper supreme room, which was quite offensive. He hadn't bowed to ordinary people, and he had only spoken to the people in the VIP rooms. As for everyone else, the elderly man didn't place them in his eyes at all. Following this, the life fruit was obtained by the elderly man for 8 million silver coins. The 37th item was quickly carried onto the stage by a few big men. It was a living creature that looked like a leopard. It was about the size of a dog, and it was completely black and had blood-red eyes. This black leopard was most likely only a cub, but the aura it gave off was incredibly ferocious, and it gave off waves of threatening roars. Chapter 285. This Blood Knight leopard could be raised into a battle beast, or it could be used as a mount. After all, a Stage 3 Lord Grade Cub had great potential. 4 million silver coins. For the first time, someone from a sovereign room called out a bid. It was an elderly woman's voice, causing the auction hall to fall silent. No one else dared to make another bid. Not only was she a city lord, but she also had the wealth of 3 million silver coins. This was not something that ordinary people could compete with. City Lord Sue, this is for your precious granddaughter, right? A middle-aged man's voice sounded out from another sovereign room. The person who had made the bid was City Lord Sue, and he smiled as he nodded. The other city lords wouldn't make a move, so the Blood Knight leopard was won by City Lord Sue for 4 million silver coins. Following this, a few more items were brought to the stage, and they were also sold for high prices, causing countless people to feel envious and excited. The 41st item was a 30-centimeter long tooth that was as white as jade and gave off traces of cold chi. After this tooth was brought out, the temperature in the entire auction hall seemed to drop by a few degrees, and it gave off an incredibly cold and powerful feeling. Ice Elemental Beast Tooth, a legendary grade material that can be used to create ice-type equipment. The starting price is 5 million silver coins. This was the first time that a legendary grade item had appeared in an auction hall, and it wasn't a reward from a system event. After the elderly woman finished her introduction, countless people stared at the tooth in shock. Heavens, it's actually a legendary grade material. It's the first time I've seen one, and it's so powerful. I've seen a legendary grade material today. I didn't come for nothing. I'll be able to brag about it when I get back. If only I had that much silver coins. It's a pity that I can't afford it. The auction hall immediately became quite lively, and everyone excitedly chatted amongst themselves. It was evident just how much of a commotion this legendary grade material had caused. 6 million silver coins. The people in the sovereign rooms started to bid, and everyone else could only watch. Whether it was in terms of wealth or influence, they couldn't compare to these people. The 12 sovereign rooms were all filled, which meant that there were 12 city lords. This auction had gathered all of the major figures in the surrounding regions, and they started to bid against each other. Their bids were all incredibly terrifying, and each of them increased by at least 1 million silver coins. Soon, the price of the Ice Elemental Beast Tooth reached 10 million silver coins. This price caused countless ordinary people to sigh in admiration. They would never be able to obtain one in their lifetime. 12 million silver coins. 13 million silver coins. 15 million silver coins. In just a short moment, the price of the Ice Elemental Beast's Tooth reached 17 million silver coins. Normally, legendary grade materials cost around 10 million silver coins, and 17 million silver coins was quite high. As such, there were fewer people bidding, and only 4 people were still competing. 18 million silver coins. An androgynous voice rang out from one of the supreme rooms. It was impossible to tell if the voice was male or female. With such a high price, the other 3 began to hesitate, wondering if they should continue. 20 million silver. A calm voice rang out from an inconspicuous private room, causing everyone to suck in a breath of cold air. They felt that a reckless fellow had appeared. Of course, Zhao Fu also lacked legendary-grade materials. However, he did not have the ability to forge them yet. However, he could leave them there for now. Road could already forge gold-grade equipment, so it was only a matter of time before he could forge legendary-grade equipment. There was no need for Zhao Fu to worry about that. The voice that came from this private room also caused the people in the sovereign room to be a bit surprised. This kind of person suddenly appeared. The neutral voice was calm and indifferent. 21 million silver coins. 23 million silver coins. Just as the neutral voice sounded out, another voice sounded out from the private room. There was no change in the voice, and it was still the same calm voice. This time, the neutral voice sounded a bit angry. 25 million silver coins. Everyone else gulped. Just thinking about the city lord's rage was terrifying. The three people who had been bidding just now looked as if they were watching a good show and did not continue bidding. As the slightly angry voice sounded out, the private room did not make any more sounds. It seemed that the person who had been waiting to see a good show had given up. This made the people who were waiting to see a good show feel quite disappointed. Within the private room, Zhao Fu took a sip of tea. It wasn't that he was afraid of the city lord, but the price of the ice elemental beast tooth was already quite high. Seeing that the neutral voice seemed to be determined to obtain it, Zhao Fu did not want to continue bidding. In the end, the ice elemental beast tooth was sold to the person who had spoken with a neutral voice for 25 million silver coins. The next item was slowly brought out. It was a 30-centimeter long box made of wood that was engraved with many intricate carvings. It gave off a deep violet light and gave off a mysterious and noble feeling. The elderly man smiled and once again introduced it, saying, "This is a mysterious treasure box that will give you a piece of legendary-grade equipment. The starting bid is 8 million silver coins." This box was quite random, and it could give either a good piece of legendary-grade equipment or a poor piece of legendary-grade equipment. However, if one could obtain a piece of legendary-grade equipment, it would definitely be quite valuable. 10 million silver coins. After the elderly man finished his introduction, people started to bid. The other people in the sovereign rooms all looked quite interested in this mysterious treasure box and started to bid. The price quickly surpassed the price of the ice elemental beast tooth, reaching 26 million silver coins. This price caused some people to stop bidding. 27 million silver coins. A cold and gloomy voice sounded out from one of the sovereign rooms. 28 million silver coins. A woman's voice sounded out from one of the sovereign rooms. 30 million silver coins. Another coarse voice sounded out from one of the sovereign rooms. This price had already reached a terrifying level, and countless ordinary people excitedly watched as the major figures bid. At the same time, there were only 3 people left bidding. Everyone nervously and excitedly watched as that major figure called out a sky-high price. 32 million silver coins. A calm voice suddenly sounded out from an unassuming private room, causing everyone's gazes to gather on that corner. Fudge! That fellow still dares to shout? He's so reckless. Many people muttered to themselves. The gazes of the 12 supreme martial artists also fell on that inconspicuous little private room with some interest. The auctioneer looked at that private room in surprise and asked, 32 million silver coins going once. Is there anyone else who wants to bid? The coarse voice once again sounded out, 33 million silver coins. 35 million silver coins. That calm voice also sounded out, causing many ordinary people to be surprised. They had thought that he would retreat in the face of difficulties like the last time. Perhaps he was just a scheming B*TCH who wanted to attract attention, but they did not expect him to still dare to shout. Chapter 286. 35 million silver coins was already the price of an exquisite legendary-grade weapon, and the coarse voice did not continue to bid. Instead, he laughed and said in a praising tone, "Not bad, boy." The other city lords did not continue to bid, and in the end, this mysterious treasure box was obtained by Zhao Fu for 35 million silver coins. This caused countless people to feel quite shocked They had never thought that such a treasure box would be obtained by such an unremarkable fellow in a private room. It seemed that this fellow had some sort of background. The next item was quickly brought out. It was a stick of incense that was as thin and long as a normal stick of incense. However, it was only half a stick, and it looked like it could burn for 3 minutes. It had 5 colors, and after being brought out, it gave off a dreamlike fragrance. Some of the weak-willed people on the first floor suddenly felt drowsy when they smelled this fragrance. Seeing this, the elderly man waved his hand and released a barrier, isolating the fragrance. At the same time, the elderly man started to introduce it, saying, "Dream incense. This is an incense made from many types of stage 5 fantasy grasses. Anyone who breathes it in will fall into a deep sleep." The incense's effects on humans are slightly weaker, but it has powerful effects on wild beasts and even lords. This incense can burn for 3 minutes, and the starting price is 8 million silver coins. This dream incense's effects could be quite useful, but it could only burn for 3 minutes, which was simply too short. As such, many people gave up on bidding. However, there were a few people who were quite interested and started to bid, and soon the price rose to 13 million silver coins. Of course, these people were the people from the sovereign's room. Everyone else did not have that much wealth, so they could only watch as the major figures bid. 15 million silver coins. Suddenly, a calm voice sounded out from that private room, causing everyone to feel quite surprised. That fellow even had money? The city lord were also quite surprised. They had never thought that this unassuming private room would have such power. They did not recognize this person at all, and they did not feel any sense of familiarity with him. He was someone who had only appeared recently, and he had most likely been attracted by this auction. After hearing the elderly man introduce the dream incense's effects, Zhao Fu felt that it would be very important to a certain plan, so he wanted to bid for it. Is there anyone else who would like to bid? The old man on the stage also glanced at the private room. When he saw that the surroundings were quiet and everyone's gazes were focused on that private room, and no one was bidding, he reminded the old man. With a price of 15 million silver coins, the city lords who had been interested did not want to continue bidding, so they did not bid. The remaining people did not have that kind of wealth, so after the elderly man finished bidding, the surroundings were completely silent and no one bid. Finally, the dream incense was obtained by Zhao Fu as he wished. The next item was carefully carried up by a few big men. It was an oval-shaped egg that was half a meter long and had a gray egg shell. It gave off a powerful aura, which Zhao Fu was quite familiar with because he had felt it before at the auction. It was a dragon egg, and the aura it gave off was dragon's might. The old man started to introduce. I think everyone already knows what kind of creature's egg this is. That's right. This is a dragon egg, a 2-legged wyvern egg. As one of the most powerful races in the world, dragons are incredibly powerful. Even though this dragon egg is only a 2-legged wyvern egg, it is still a type of dragon. What's more, when this dragon egg was discovered, it had already been incubated for a year. Normally, the more powerful a dragon's egg was, the longer it would take to incubate. Ordinary lesser dragon's eggs would take 1 year, while 2-legged wyvern's eggs would take 2 to 3 years. However, this dragon egg has already been incubated for a year. If everyone can buy it and use a secret technique, it will only take around 1 year for the 2-legged wyvern egg to hatch. This item is incredibly rare, and the starting price is 10 million silver coins. The 2-legged wyverns had also said that adult 2-legged wyvern strength could reach stage 5, and they were 1 stage stronger than ordinary lesser dragons. As soon as the dragon egg was brought out and introduced by the old man, the entire auction hall burst into an uproar. Countless people excitedly yelled. It could be seen just how happy everyone was to see a dragon egg. Dragons had a special place in Chinese people's hearts, and even though it was a Western dragon, they were still quite happy. 12 million silver coins. A voice quickly sounded out from a sovereign room. Everyone wanted this dragon egg, so the bidding was incredibly intense. 15 million silver coins, 17 million silver coins, 20 million silver coins. The two-legged wyvern eggs price skyrocketed, reaching 25 million silver coins, and there were still 8 city lords bidding. 30 million silver coins. A coarse voice sounded out from a sovereign room, instantly raising the price by 5 million silver coins. This voice belonged to the person who had spoken to Zhao Fu before. Such a high price caused 3 of the 8 city lords to hesitate. 32 million silver coins. A cold and sinister voice sounded out from a sovereign room. 33 million silver coins. A woman's voice sounded out from a sovereign room. After another round of intense bidding, the dragon egg's price reached 40 million silver coins. This terrifying price caused the other city lords to give up, and only 3 city lords remained bidding. 41 million silver coins. A cold and sinister voice sounded out from a sovereign room. 42 million silver coins. In a supreme being's room, a coarse voice rang out. 43 million silver coins. The woman's voice also rang out in the sovereign's room. It was these 3 city lords who were bidding, and the speed at which the dragon egg's price rose slowed down. Everyone else nervously and excitedly watched the 3 of them compete. Gentlemen, can you give Coldwind City some face? A cold and sinister voice sounded out from a sovereign room, raising the two-legged wyvern egg's price to 45 million silver coins. This price, and the words that had been spoken, caused the remaining 2 city lords to hesitate. After this dragon egg hatched, it would take a long time to grow. Only when it reached adulthood would it have stage 5 strength, and by then, they would be able to directly catch it. The current price of 45 million silver coins was already quite high. 46 million silver coins. Just as the 2 of them were hesitating, an indifferent voice rang out from that inconspicuous private room, startling everyone present. Their gazes once again turned towards the room. Heavens! How much money does that fellow have? Countless people felt quite shocked because Zhao Fu had already won 2 items and spent 50 million silver coins. Hearing that Zhao Fu still dared to bid, the cold and sinister voice said with a trace of anger, 47 million silver coins. 48 million silver coins. Chapter 287. After hearing this, everyone felt quite startled. Didn't that fellow hear that the city lord was angry? He was definitely seeking death if he dared to continue bidding. The other city lords grinned and looked as if they were watching a good show. Suddenly, a massive aura burst out from the sovereign's room, causing everyone's expressions to fall as if a massive boulder was weighing down on them. From how everyone saw it, Zhao Fu definitely wasn't as powerful as a city lord. As such, they didn't have much faith in him, and they felt that it was like throwing an egg against a rock. The 12 city lords felt quite disdainful because they could sense that the 3 people in that room only had stage 1 cultivation. How could someone like that dare to offend them? These city lords were simply seeking death. The city lord gave off a powerful aura. They were quite displeased, but they didn't want to interfere. After all, teaching this arrogant brat a lesson wasn't a bad idea. If he didn't have the strength, he wouldn't even know how he died. Most of this aura was focused on that private room, so it was many times more powerful than outside. Wang Ergu and Tuoba Qing bitterly endured under this aura, and the weaker Wang Ergu's legs trembled as beads of sweat rolled down his face. Seeing this, Zhao Fu frowned and waved his hand. A black semicircular barrier spread out as Zhao Fu unleashed his king's domain, blocking the aura. With his king's domain, Zhao Fu wasn't afraid of this aura. 50 million silver coins. A cold and eerie voice once again sounded out from the sovereign's room. 51 million silver coins. Just as the cold and eerie voice sounded out, another voice sounded out from the private room. This time, not only the spectators, but even the city lords were shocked. Is he really not afraid of someone with stage 1 cultivation? If these city lords really wanted to act, no one would be able to stop them. Seeing that the situation was spiraling out of control, the elderly auctioneer felt quite troubled. This city lord's actions definitely weren't right. He was using his power to suppress others, but the auction house didn't have the power to restrict these city lords. The old man could only try to persuade the guest in the private room. Guest, you should give up. You can't afford to offend the city lord." Hearing this, Zhao Fu felt quite displeased, but he understood that this elder was saying this for his own good. However, he was determined to obtain the dragon egg, so he would not back down. Seeing that the person in the private room didn't reply or make any sound, the others thought that the person in the room had retreated. However, if it was now, facing such a powerful city lord, they would also have to act like cowards. "Humph, you're just an ant, and you dare to act so arrogantly in front of me? Normally, I could crush you to death, but in front of everyone here, I'm giving them face. However, I'm angry now, so get your ass out here and kowtow 3 times. If you do that, I might let you off today." That cold and gloomy voice said in a contemptuous tone. That's right. Right now, the city lords of system main cities were undoubtedly the most powerful people in the world, and there was no power that could shake their position. However, hearing that domineering tone, the other city lords all frowned. They felt that there was no need to bicker with such a minor figure, as it would be beneath their status. Countless people on the first, second, and third floors also focused their gazes on that private room. They were waiting for the person in that private room to come out and kowtow. There was no other way but to do this. Although it was humiliating, it was good enough that he was still alive. There was no need to talk about humiliation. Within the private room, Wang Ergu and Tuo Baqing also looked furious as they called out, "Your Majesty." Zhao Fu looked at them and indicated that he would take care of everything before saying calmly, "Why is there no one bidding? If no one is bidding, then the wyvern egg will be mine." As soon as this voice was heard, everyone present gasped in shock. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out, as if tables and chairs had been smashed. Moreover, an extremely terrifying aura exploded out from that sovereign's room. Everyone understood that since the city lord had killed someone, the person in the private room would definitely die. The people in the sovereign rooms frowned, but did not show any intention of getting involved. After all, this was a world of the strong, and the weak could only live by kneeling and submitting. Boom! At that moment, a heaven-toppling aura exploded out, completely suppressing the city lord's aura. The air in the entire auction hall froze, and this terrifying aura rushed into the sky, causing the weather to change. "Do you believe that I won't kill you right now?" A voice filled with dense killing intent sounded out from that private room, causing the surrounding temperature to plummet. Countless people on the first, second, and third levels collapsed to the ground, unable to withstand this power. The people in the 12 sovereign rooms were also greatly shocked. This person's aura completely surpassed theirs. Within the sovereign room, a long-haired young man with a gloomy aura looked quite serious. He was the owner of that cold and gloomy voice. The scene instantly spiraled out of control, and the atmosphere froze. In the next moment, a shocking battle could erupt. At that moment, an elderly man in azure walked out from sovereign room and smiled as he said, "This one is Azure Willow City's city lord. Can you give this old man some face? Let's all get rich peacefully." The person in the sovereign room did not say anything because he felt that he would definitely lose against that power. As such, Zhao Fu withdrew his aura. Everyone else let out a sigh of relief, and looking at that ordinary-looking private room, they felt some lingering fear as they thought to themselves, "Indeed, he's a major figure. His power is simply too terrifying, and he's even more powerful than that city lord." The people in the sovereign room also withdrew their disdainful gazes because no one would benefit from facing that power. Zhao Fu's expression was cold. If you took a step back, they would take 10 steps forward. If you were modest, they would think that you were weak and that you were easy to bully. Zhao Fu used a bit of the imperial ruler's seal's power. He didn't actually use it, so he didn't use up much of his fate. In the end, no one dared to bid for the wyvern egg, and it was obtained by Zhao Fu. After what had just happened, the atmosphere in the auction hall became completely different, and no one dared to look down on that unassuming private room anymore. Next, a beautiful female attendant continued to use a tray to bring up a round, pearl-sized crystal that seemed to be made of blood. It was an azure item. The elderly man returned to normal. Under that terrifying aura, He had been unable to resist at all and had knelt to the ground. It was laughable that such a powerful person had tried to persuade him not to oppose others. Luckily, this person did not blame him. Chapter 288. The azure bird was a three-legged divine bird, and it was the predecessor of a phoenix. It was bright and beautiful, and it was a divine and auspicious creature. According to legends, it was the Queen Mother's messenger. Since they could not meet in the human world, they could only meet at Penglai, Celestial Mountain. However, there was no way to Penglai, so they could only rely on the azure bird to send messages. This was information about the azure bird in Chinese legends. Even though it was not very detailed, it could be seen that the azure bird's bloodline was not low grade, as it was a divine bird's bloodline. Moreover, it gave off an auspicious aura, and fusing it into one's bloodline would be beneficial to one's fate. 18 million silver coins. The appearance of the azure bird bloodline caused the city lords to feel quite delighted, and a voice sounded out from one of the sovereign rooms. 20 million silver coins. Another city lord immediately started to bid, increasing the price by 2 million silver coins, raising the azure bird bloodline's price to 20 million silver coins. However, this price evidently could not stop the city lord's enthusiasm. The azure bird blood crystal's price quickly reached 30 million silver coins, and it was still quite popular. 50 million silver coins. The coarse voice once again increased the price by 20 million silver coins, causing the azure bird bloodline's price to reach a terrifying 50 million silver coins. This price caused some people to hesitate, but the azure bird blood crystal's price continued to rise. 54 million silver coins. An elderly voice sounded out from one of the sovereign rooms. It was Azure Willow City's city lord. 55 million silver coins. The same woman's voice also started to bid. 60 million silver coins. Suddenly, a voice from one of the 12 sovereign rooms raised the price by 60 million silver coins. This frightening price finally caused more than half of the city lords to give up. In the end, there were only 5 city lords bidding. The people below continued to excitedly watch. The city lords seemed to have forgotten about what had happened and were immersed in the intense bidding. 65 million silver coins. This price caused another 2 city lords to give up, and only 3 city lords remained. One was the coarse voice, one was Azure Willow City's city lord, and one was the city lord who had never bid before. 66 million silver coins. 67 million silver coins. 68 million silver coins. In the end, the azure bird blood crystal's price reached 72 million silver coins. This was the price that the city lord who had never bid before gave up, and the other 2 city lords took a step back. 72 million silver coins going once. Is there anyone else who would like to bid? The old man asked. Everyone's gazes once again focused on that unremarkable private room. Zhao Fu was also considering whether he should bid or not. Right now, there were 2 problems in front of him. The first was to maintain the pure royal bloodline, and the second was to mix in the bloodline of other high-level creatures. Both options had their pros and cons. A pure-blooded king's bloodline represented the purest king's power, while a high-grade creature's bloodline would increase one's stats, skills, and HP. Although it seemed to be quite beneficial, it would mean that one's king's bloodline wasn't pure enough. Zhao Fu thought for a long time and finally decided to maintain a pure bloodline. This was because even if Zhao Fu chose the second option and fused with other bloodlines, he would have to find a truly top-tier bloodline. The Azure Bird bloodline was of a high-tier bloodline, but Zhao Fu still did not fancy it. Everyone nervously looked at that private room, but there was no sound coming from that private room. Everyone was somewhat disappointed. In the end, the Azure Bird bloodline was obtained by that mysterious city lord. Following this, the final item of the auction was brought up by a beautiful female attendant. It looked like a shard of a mask. It was black and made of wood, and it was half as big as a palm. There were some pictures on it, but because it was just a shard, it was impossible to tell what they were. At the same time, the shard gave off an ancient aura. Sensing this aura, even Zhao Fu felt quite shocked. On the stone stage, the old man started to introduce the item, saying, "Everyone, please take a close look at this item. This item is something that most people will never see in their entire lives, and it is a nation armament shard." A nation armament represents a nation's fate, and everyone can imagine how terrifying it is. It's not something that ordinary people can resist. Even though this is just a shard, if anyone is lucky enough to find the other 3 shards, they might be able to restore it. When that time comes, it will definitely be a priceless treasure. The starting bid is 20 million silver coins. This item was a nation armament shard, which was why Zhao Fu was so shocked by its aura. After all, Zhao Fu had one, so he was incredibly familiar with that aura. The appearance of a nation armament shard caused countless people to feel incredibly shocked, including the city lords. They had never thought that a nation armament shard would appear. The scene once again erupted into an uproar. Heavens, that's a priceless treasure, and it can't be bought with money. Huh, who would have thought that I would be able to see a nation armament shard today? I'm so lucky. I think I want it, but it's a pity that I don't have enough money, and I can't even sell my body for it. I wonder which major figure will be able to obtain it. Even though the old man's words sounded so good, Zhao Fu still didn't quite believe him. First, collecting the other 3 shards would be quite difficult, and it would depend on luck. Otherwise, it would be impossible to find them in a lifetime. Secondly, even if you collect all the shards, so what? There's no way to restore them. After all, a nation armament represented a nation's fate, and once a nation armament was destroyed, it meant that the nation had perished. Of course, it was impossible to restore a nation armament, but it was simply too rare, and Zhao Fu really wanted it. 30 million silver coins. Just as the old man finished his introduction, a person in the sovereign room started to bid, and he increased the price by 10 million silver coins. It could be seen that these city lords also wanted it. However, 30 million silver coins was nothing to these city lords, so the price continued to madly rise. In just a short while, the price of the nation armament shard had reached 50 million silver coins. 70 million silver coins. The coarse voice once again sounded out in the sovereign room. This city lord had brought a lot of money, but it was a pity that he hadn't won a single one. This was the last item, and it was the one that he wanted the most. As such, he didn't hold back and directly increased the price by 20 million silver coins. The price of 70 million silver coins caused many city lords to hesitate, but the next person called out 75 million silver coins. This caused most of the city lords to sigh and give up. Chapter 289. Of these 2 people, one was the coarse voice, and the other was Azure Willow City's city lord. Because this was Azure Willow City's territory, the Azure Willow city lord called out an astronomical price of 85 million silver coins, causing the coarse voice to give up. "Excuse me, is there anyone else who wishes to bid?" The old man hosting the auction on the stage once again asked the crowd. Everyone's gazes gathered on that corner. 86 million silver coins. A calm voice sounded out from an unremarkable private room, causing everyone to feel quite shocked. This grand figure simply had too much money on him. Zhao Fu had enough money, and even though business in the various regions had declined, each region still made around 4,000 gold coins in profit. Now, Zhao Fu had opened up 31 regions, and in total, he made around 120,000 gold coins a day. 10,000 gold coins was equivalent to 1 million silver coins, and adding on the countless days he had saved up, Zhao Fu had enough money to buy this nation armament shard. Hearing Zhao Fu bid, Azure Willow City's city lord felt quite startled. He thought for a moment before taking out all of his money and calling out 90 million silver coins. As soon as he called out this price, everyone looked incredibly shocked. 90 million silver coins was equivalent to 9 billion copper coins, which was equivalent to 90 billion in the real world. Everyone couldn't help but sigh in amazement at how much money there was, as it would be enough to bury them alive. 91 million silver coins. That calm and emotionless voice once again rang out from the private room. Hearing this voice, Azure Willow City's city lord could only sigh. 90 million silver coins was all he had, and now that he was unable to buy this nation armament shard, he could only give up. In the end, this nation armament shard was obtained by Zhao Fu. By now, this super auction had come to an end. Countless people excitedly streamed out of the auction hall, and Zhao Fu went to the backstage and paid for all of the items he had won. The person who received him was the auctioneer. He first apologized for what he had said before giving Zhao Fu a violet gold insignia. With this insignia, Zhao Fu would be treated like a sovereign in their auction. Zhao Fu looked at Zhao Fu and said, Zhao Fu accepted it casually. He felt that he couldn't stay here for a long time, so he immediately returned to Qin. This place was indeed quite dangerous. The long-haired and sinister-looking city lord had wanted to ally with the other city lords to kill Zhao Fu. After all, the items that Zhao Fu had obtained from the auction, as well as the wealth that he might have, were enough to make the other city lords covet them. However, most of the city lords refused. It was not that they did not want Zhao Fu's wealth, but that they had other considerations. First, they had confirmed that Zhao Fu was a player and that his power was that of a clan armament. The power of that clan armament was simply too great, and they did not feel that they would be able to kill Zhao Fu. Even if they killed Zhao Fu, they would not be able to truly kill him, and they would have to wait for his revenge in the future. With that clan armament's power, any one of them would lose. After thinking about it, this proposal was quite tempting, but they could only give up. Seeing that no one else was willing to participate, the long-haired and sinister-looking young man was not stupid enough to act by himself. After returning to Qin, Zhao Fu placed the wyvern egg in a room and ordered people to collect secret techniques that could help the egg hatch faster. Zhao Fu stood in front of the egg and cut open his arm, letting his blood fall onto the egg's shell. He then chanted an incantation, and the blood quickly seeped into the egg's shell. This was a simple blood contract, and it was used to subdue wild beasts. After returning to his room, Zhao Fu found a wooden box and put away the dream incense before putting it into his king's ring. Zhao Fu sat on a chair and took out the nation armament shard and looked at it. Desolate Blood Mask Shard. The Desolate Blood Ancient Kingdom's nation armament. After the Desolate Blood Ancient Kingdom fell, its nation armament shattered. Desolate Blood Ancient Kingdom. After looking at the nation armament shard's brief introduction, Zhao Fu ordered people to collect information about the Desolate Blood Ancient Kingdom to see if they could find the other shards. If they could find all of the shards and find a way to restore this nation armament, Zhao Fu would have 2 nation armaments. Just thinking about this could make anyone feel excited. However, Zhao Fu knew that this would be quite difficult, but there was still some hope. Following this, Zhao Fu went to the city heart and watched as it gave off waves of violet light. The 12 metal colossi and imperial ruler's seal floated next to it, and Zhao Fu placed the nation armament shard on it to see if it would have any effects. However, Zhao Fu was disappointed. Even though he had placed the nation armament shard on the city heart, not a single trace of the city heart's fate could enter it. Since Qin City's fate could not enter it, this meant that Zhao Fu could not use the nation armament shard. Zhao Fu did not put the nation armament shard away, and he placed it next to the city heart. He wanted to see if this nation armament shard would change after being nurtured by Qin City's fate for a long time. After taking care of these things, Zhao Fu returned to his room and suddenly thought of something. He took out an exquisite chest that gave off a violet light. Zhao Fu wondered what this mysterious treasure chest would contain. Because it contained a piece of legendary great equipment, Zhao Fu couldn't help but feel a trace of anticipation. After placing the treasure chest on the table, Zhao Fu stretched out his hand and slowly opened the chest. A violet light shot out, and the color of the light changed. The darker the violet, the higher the grade of the equipment, and the lighter the violet, the lower the grade of the equipment. The treasure chest was completely chaotic, and it was impossible to see what was inside. The violet light continuously changed in front of Zhao Fu. There was a deep violet light, and then there was a faint violet light. Zhao Fu even saw a trace of a violet light with a hint of orange. causing Zhao Fu to feel quite excited. However, the light soon became a deep violet light and stopped. An item shot out from the treasure chest and floated in front of Zhao Fu. This item caused Zhao Fu to feel quite surprised. It was a fishing rod. The fishing rod was about 2 meters long. It wasn't made of bamboo. Instead, it was made of a tree branch that was as thick as a thumb. The tree branch looked quite ordinary, and it wasn't much different from a normal tree branch. There was a thin rope tied to the other end of the fishing rod, which was most likely a fishing line. It looked like it was made of hemp rope and was quite cheap. At the bottom of the fishing line, there was a small hook that gave off a faint silver light. Are you kidding me? He gave me a fishing rod? Chapter 290. After looking at the fishing rod stats, Zhao Fu received this information: frowny face, one world rod. A tool created from a branch of the ancient world tree, a heavenly hemp rope, and a silver moon hook. This item has 3 effects. 1. Fishing mastery. Automatically learns all fishing skills and reaches a proficient level, allowing one to be called a fishing master. 2. Fish's blessing. When fishing, the chance of catching a fish is increased by 500%, and there is a high chance of catching a rare fish. 3. Fishing enlightenment. This item is quite special and contains a type of source energy. When using it, it will make it easier for one to comprehend the heavens and earth. After looking at this information, Zhao Fu felt quite shocked. The One World Rod was a special item and not a normal piece of equipment. It did not have any stat bonuses, and Zhao Fu was not too interested in the first 2 effects. However, he felt quite interested in the 3rd effect, which was fishing enlightenment. Owner, I want to fuse into this fishing rod. A voice sounded out in Zhao Fu's mind. It was from the silver ring on Zhao Fu's finger. When Zhao Fu had opened the gloomy jungle stone door historical remnant, he had obtained the silver ring Celia Clummin, which was a piece of legendary great equipment. If Celia didn't have anything to do, she would silently wear the ring and not say anything, so she did not have much of a presence. However, when Celia suddenly said that she wanted to fuse into this fishing rod, Zhao Fu felt quite surprised and asked, "Why?" Celia obediently replied, "Owner, I have an ancient elf bloodline, and staying in this fishing rod made from an ancient world tree will greatly benefit me." Hearing this, Zhao Fu thought about it and felt that there were no disadvantages, so he agreed. After receiving Zhao Fu's permission, Celia turned into a ray of silver light that covered the One World Rod and slowly fused into it. The One World Rod, which had been giving off a deep violet light, went through changes, and the violet light it gave off became deeper and deeper. As for the silver ring, it turned into dust and dissipated. It seemed that all of the ring's power was gathered on Celia's body. The silver light that Celia had turned into slowly fused with the One World Rod, and the One World Rod unexpectedly emitted a half-orange light. Zhao Fu understood that the World Rod had reached pseudo-epic rank. It was only a step away from becoming an epic item. Unfortunately, it was not a piece of equipment, so he could not attach any attributes to it. Looking at the One World Rod's information again, all 3 of its special effects have been greatly strengthened. This was especially so for the fish's blessing, which increased the chance of catching a fish by 800%. Furthermore, the 4th effect of the One World Rod had been activated. Green leaf straw cape. When it rains, it will automatically appear. Not only can it shield you from the wind and rain, but it can also help you better understand heaven and earth. It doesn't seem to be of any use to me. After looking through the One World Rod's information, Zhao Fu felt quite disappointed. After all, he had spent a lot of money and a legendary grade ring to obtain such a useless thing. Comprehending the heavens and earth was simply too unrealistic. "Celia, I'm going to put this away," Zhao Fu said to Celia. Zhao Fu's impression of Celia was quite good. She was quite obedient and considerate, so he took special care of her. Thank you, master." Celia's delighted voice sounded out from within the One World Rod. Zhao Fu put the One World Rod into his king's ring, and this matter, including the auction, came to an end. Now, It was time for the god-killing plan that Qin had been planning for a long time. This matter was incredibly important, and Zhao Fu felt quite curious. What would he obtain if he used the heaven and earth refining formation to refine a godly spirit? The target of this refinement was a godly spirit's clone, and Zhao Fu did not dare to think about the godly spirit's true body. After all, with Zhao Fu's current strength, it was simply impossible. Even though it was a godly spirit's clone, Zhao Fu had prepared for a few days. Now that Qin's population had reached 280,000, Zhao Fu had expanded his army by 10,000, bringing the army to 50,000. Zhao Fu decided that the location of the god-killing plan would be underground. The underground space was 10 or so kilometers wide, and Zhao Fu did not want anyone to interfere with such an important matter. In order to prevent the underground space from being destroyed, Zhao Fu had set up many Vajra curses and demon-crushing talismans. On one hand, he wanted to strengthen the underground space's defenses, and, on the other hand, he wanted to weaken the godly spirit's power. As such, Zhao Fu protected the altar with the heaven and earth refining formation very well. The heaven and earth refining formation was incredibly important to Qin, and he could not allow it to be damaged at all. Apart from this, Zhao Fu also spent a large amount of money to buy a flight stone. After all, not only did the godly spirit have wings, but it definitely had the ability to fly. However, Zhao Fu did not have any of these abilities, so he bought a flight stone. This flight stone's effects were quite poor, and there were restrictions on its speed and height. However, it was the best item that Zhao Fu could find to fly, so he used it just in case he needed to use it. After everything was prepared, Zhao Fu took the 50,000 soldiers and started to descend into the underground region. Loeb Village's blood-red altar was moved to an empty area that had been cleared out. Wooden stakes were also erected next to the blood-colored altar. Wild beasts were chained to these stakes. There were wild boars, goats, deer, and even tigers. There were all kinds of wild beasts, and there were over 1,000 of them. There were also hundreds of stakes, and there were people tied to these stakes. Most of them were men, but there were also a few women, both young and old. These were all people who had refused to submit to Qin and were stubbornly resisting. They should have been killed on the spot, but in order to summon the demon god, they were also sacrificed. After all, to the demon god, humans were the most delicious food. Now, regardless of whether they were wild beasts or humans, all of them felt a sense of unease after being tied up here. The wild beasts desperately tried to break free, and the people started to loudly curse, wanting Zhao Fu to let them go. Zhao Fu stood in front of these stakes and coldly looked at them. Towards these people, Zhao Fu would not show any mercy or be lenient. After these sacrifices were prepared, Zhao Fu ordered people to set up various formations. The first was the 6-wood absolute barrier, which was an advanced isolation formation. It was the first formation that Zhao Fu had obtained, and it was used to isolate space. Of course, it would not be activated yet, and it would only be activated after the demon god descended. 6 white wooden stakes were inserted in 6 different directions with a blood-red altar at the center, and they were all 5,000 meters away from the altar. Apart from this, Zhao Fu also bought 36 ordinary isolation formations. These isolation formations were black iron pipes that were 2 meters long, and there were 4 of them in a set. They could form a simple isolation formation, and they could be used to prevent teleportation formations from being used during city battles. Chapter 291. The 12 Yin generals were spread out 5,000 meters around the blood-red altar, and they resonated with each other, forming a formless formation, the 12 Yin generals' ghost-suppressing formation. Even though this formation was a formation that weakened ghosts and monsters, it was effective against all evil creatures. Although it was relatively weaker, it could still be used. Following this, Zhao Fu took out 4 stone steels, which were engraved with the azure dragon, black tortoise, vermilion bird, and white tiger. After placing the 4 stone steels in 4 different directions, Zhao Fu finished setting up the Sun Blaze Emperor Immortal Formation. Finally, Zhao Fu ordered all of the soldiers to drink a bottle of magic resistance potion. This potion increased their resistance to demons and also increased the damage they dealt to demons. After preparing all of this, Zhao Fu looked at the surrounding soldiers. They all knew what Zhao Fu was going to do, and their expressions became serious. "Are you all ready?" Zhao Fu loudly asked the soldiers. The 50,000 soldiers replied in unison, yes. Their voices were deafening. "Get into formation! Get into formation! Get into formation!" Following this, Bai Qi, Wei Liao, and Wang Jian yelled out, and the 50,000 soldiers started to move. They marched in unison, causing powerful footsteps to ring out as they split into 3 groups, one at the east, south, and one at the west. As for the north side, Zhao Fu personally guarded it, as well as 2 scouting teams and 1,000 ballistae. At the same time, Daisy, who had the most powerful holy light skill, was also by Zhao Fu's side. After everything was prepared, Zhao Fu and Old Lo walked up to the blood-red altar, and Zhao Fu said seriously, "Begin." Old Lo obeyed and raised his wooden staff as he started to chant an incantation. The incantation was filled with darkness, strangeness, and suppression, and as Old Log continuously chanted, an evil aura spread out from the altar. The beasts and humans that were tied up started to scream in terror. Streams of bloody aura rose from their bodies and surged towards the sky above the altar. At a speed visible to the naked eye, the bodies of these people and beasts started to wither. Countless traces of blood-red aura covered the altar, and Old Log's incantation reached its end. "Great God Kerr, I offer thousands of lives as sacrifices to you, and I beg you to descend." After chanting, Old Log raised his wooden staff high and slammed it heavily on the altar, making a deep sound. Immediately, the blood chi above the altar rapidly changed, forming a huge blood-colored whirlpool and creating a gale. Around the blood-colored altar, the people and beasts tied up let out their final screams before turning into dried corpses. It was a horrifying sight. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out, and it was as if space itself had been torn apart. A long crack appeared at the center of the blood-red vortex above the altar. It was pitch black within the crack, and strands of black aura leaked out. They were filled with darkness and evil. Sensing this aura, the sky demon sword at Zhao Fu's waist couldn't help but become excited, and it trembled. A figure giving off a shocking aura appeared in front of the crack. It looked like a small demon, and it was 3 meters tall. It had 3 short horns on its head, and its eyes were pure black. There were 2 pairs of wings on its back, one large and one small. This was God Kerr. It had been a long time since Zhao Fu had seen it, and its appearance had not changed much. However, its body was different from when it had first appeared, and it was now corporeal. "My lowly follower, why have you summoned me?" God Kerr was very satisfied with Old Log's sacrifice, and it quickly sent a clone. However, compared to a godly spirit, creating tens of thousands of clones was very simple. Zhao Fu threw a bottle to Old Log and told him to quickly use it, not paying any attention to God Kerr. This caused God Kerr's good mood to become somewhat displeased. At that moment, Zhao Fu turned to look at God Kerr with a calm expression. He waved his hand, and the formation was activated. The 6-wood absolute barrier shot out 6 thin pillars of white light that shot into the sky and landed on the ceiling. White ripples spread out, causing space to freeze. God Kerr immediately felt many types of energy binding its body. Its jet-black eyes looked at Zhao Fu and Old Log on the blood-red altar, and it suddenly felt as if it had been tricked. Its gaze became cold as it said, "You lowly creatures." God Kerr stretched out its black claw-like hand and pointed at Zhao Fu and Old Log, and a formless energy spread out from its finger. However, Zhao Fu and Old Log were completely fine, and their bodies did not explode like God Kerr had expected. The situation immediately became quite awkward. Zhao Fu had long since expected this. His and Old Log's demon priest profession had been given to them by God Kerr, and if they still used this profession, God Kerr would be able to easily kill them. As such, they definitely could not use this profession. Changing professions was quite simple, but the demon priest's demonic power, which was given to them by God Kerr, could not be removed. At the auction, the small bottle that Zhao Fu had bought contained a profession cleansing potion, which could remove all of the stats, skills, and bonuses from profession. Most people would want these stats, so they would not be able to remove them. Profession cleansing potion was quite rare, and Zhao Fu had searched for it for a long time before finally finding it at the auction. Even though the demon priest profession had been completely removed, God Kerr's aura still lingered on their bodies. As such, God Kerr had thought that Zhao Fu and Old Lo were demon priests, and it stretched out its hand, wanting to detonate the demonic power within their bodies. God Kerr's face twitched in anger as it said, "Lowly human, you've angered our glorious God Kerr, so die." God Kerr stood in the air and once again stretched out its hand, causing watermelon-sized, blood-red fireballs to condense around it. There were over 100 of them, and all of them gave off immense heat, causing the sky to seem as if it was burning, and the underground temperature rose by 10 or so degrees. Fire. Just as God Kerr was about to attack, Bai Qi and the others acted first, ordering the soldiers to fire. Arrows covered in demon-crushing talismans shot out, tearing through the air and causing the entire sky to tremble. It was impossible to tell just how many arrows there were, and they gave off terrifying power as they shot towards God Kerr from all directions. God Kerr condescendingly laughed and floated in the air as a 100-meter-wide blood-red barrier spread out with its body at the center. Bang, 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 bang. Chapter 292. This was God Kerr's God's domain, and it was incredibly powerful. It could block tens of thousands of arrows. The soldiers attacking first caused God Kerr's gaze to fall on the ordinary soldiers. It waved its hand, and the hundreds of fireballs floating around it quickly descended like meteors. A large number of shield-bearers raised their shields and used their cultivation power to meet the blood-red fireballs. Bang! 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 The fireballs immediately exploded, creating massive explosions that blasted open 3-meter-wide craters on the ground. The countless shield-bearers gritted their teeth and used their shields to block God Kerr's first attack with great difficulty. Swish, swish, swish. While God Kerr was attacking, Bai Qi and the others once again gave the order to shoot countless arrows towards God Kerr. This time, Zhao Fu's 1,000 ballistae shot out countless bolts that glinted with cold light and rained down on the blood-red energy barrier. The countless bolts were once again sent flying, and their bodies were also broken. However, this attack was not completely ineffective. Crack! This time, the ballistae were even more powerful, and each ballista bolt had 9 evil-crushing talismans attached to it. With such a powerful attack, the god domain that God Kerr had unleashed, which was the blood-red energy barrier, started to crack. After all, God Kerr was only a clone, and it did not even have 1,000th of its main body's power. It could not completely nullify the countless soldiers' attacks. After all, enough ants could bite an elephant to death, and enough people could even kill a god. The crack on the god's domain caused God Kerr to feel quite startled. However, it immediately became furious, and it raised a hand, gathering heaven and earth power as it roared. Godly hell fireball. A black and blood-red tongue of flame appeared above God Kerr's hand. The tongue of flame suddenly sprouted, forming a 30-meter-wide fireball that looked like a small sun. It gave off searing heat and was filled with an aura of destruction. Suddenly, a massive silver ray of light, giving off an incredibly powerful, evil-crushing power, slammed into the crack on the god's domain. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as countless small cracks appeared on the godly domain, and with a bang, the evil-crushing spear shot into the godly domain towards God Kerr. However, the silver light that the evil-crushing spear gave off became much dimmer after breaking through the godly domain. Zhao Fu looked at God Kerr. After unleashing such a terrifying attack, he couldn't just sit back and do nothing. Otherwise, if that black and blood-red fireball fell, countless of Qin's soldiers would die, so he threw out his evil-crushing spear. The evil crushing spear that he had obtained during the Ghost Festival was for this moment. Facing the evil crushing spear, God Kerr was not too surprised, and its expression was cold as it pointed out. Boom! The evil crushing spear formed from countless talismans collided with God Kerr's fingertip, causing the evil crushing spear to turn into motes of light and dissipate. However, God Kerr was forced back a step, interrupting its casting, and the 30-meter wide black and blood-red fireball disappeared. This caused God Kerr's expression to become savage, and it yelled, "Lowly humans, you all deserve to die. Godly Hell's Gate." Boom! God Kerr stretched out its sharp claws and tore at the sky, causing the entire sky to tremble as a massive black hole appeared. The black hole continuously gave off a black aura, and it looked like it was connected to hell. But not a single abyss devil ran out. With the 6-wood absolute barrier as its foundation, the super isolation array suppressed the black hole that had appeared in the sky. The 6 white sticks stabbed into the ground emitted a blinding white light, and the surrounding black iron pipes constantly trembled. This godly Hell's Gate was a spatial summoning skill, but the isolation barrier that Zhao Fu had set up blocked all spatial ripples. Arg! Damned humans! God Kerr cursed as traces of blood-red aura rose up from its body, and its aura became stronger. It vigorously tore at the air, trying to break free from the isolation barrier. Soldier aura formation. Suddenly, 3 loud yells sounded out as black, blood-red, and green auras rose up from the soldiers' bodies and gathered towards Bai Qi and the others. 3 pillars of light shot into the sky. Screech! An ear-piercing cry sounded out as a massive blood-red eagle, giving off a boundless killing aura, soared into the sky. Roar! A massive roar sounded out, causing the ground to tremble as a ferocious black tiger, giving off a conquering aura, appeared. Roar! A howl tore through the sky as a green wolf, giving off a strange aura, ferociously jumped out. After the 3 massive beasts appeared, they loudly roared. The blood-red eagle spread its wings, the black tiger and the green wolf started to run, giving off massive auras as they charged towards God Kerr in the sky. Very quickly, the 3 massive beasts reached God Kerr, but they were stopped by the god's domain. 7 murders. Army Destroyer. Voracious Wolf. Bai Qi, Wang Jian, and Wei Liao raised their general armaments and roared, causing the auras of the 3 massive beasts to explode out as arcs of lightning crackled around them. The 3 massive beasts gathered all of their strength and ferociously charged towards God Kerr's god domain. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the god's domain, which had already been shattered, was completely shattered by the 3 massive beasts. The instant the god's domain shattered, the 3 massive beasts rushed in and attacked God Kerr. This once again interrupted God Kerr's casting, and looking at the 3 incoming beasts, God Kerr's jet-black eyes gave off a terrifying coldness as it roared in a low voice. Divine Armament Manifestation. Suddenly, the entire underground region trembled as a wave of source energy gathered. A deep violet trident slowly appeared in God Kerr's hand. As soon as this deep violet trident appeared, it gave off an incredibly terrifying aura. The surrounding space seemed to be unable to withstand this weapon, and it started to show signs of collapsing. At the same time, this weapon gave off a formless aura that suppressed all of the surrounding equipment, including Zhao Fu's Sky Demon Sword and Slaughtering Ghost Sword. After all, the 2 swords in Zhao Fu's hands were both epic-grade weapons, and only divine armaments could suppress them. However, this violet trident was not a divine armament, but a projection. Even so, it was enough to suppress epic-grade equipment. God Kerr gripped the trident and looked at the 3 incoming beasts. It vigorously slashed out, causing the air to explode as a massive black crescent appeared, forcing the 3 beasts back. Zhao Fu stood on the ground and looked at the battle in the sky as he gave the order to activate the Sunblaze Emperor Immortal Formation. Boom! The entire underground region started to shine with a white light, and the temperature started to rise. The light became brighter and brighter, and a searing aura suddenly appeared. Crack! Chapter 293. The Sunblaze Emperor Immortal Formation consumed a large number of energy stones, but because Zhao Fu had a massive energy stone mine, he didn't really care about the energy stones. The golden crow, which gave off a brilliant light, flew into the sky and surrounded God Kerr along with the other three massive beasts. God Kerr's expression became serious, and the four beasts ferociously glared at God Kerr as they roared. Suddenly, the greedy wolf started to move. It leapt up incredibly quickly and rushed in front of God Kerr, opening its mouth as it bit towards God Kerr. God Kerr dodged to the side, avoiding the greedy wolf's bite, and it raised its pitchfork and slammed it upwards, sending the greedy wolf flying into the sky. Roar! At that moment, the black tiger roared and turned into a black blur as it opened its mouth and bit towards God Kerr's back. God Kerr's eyes narrowed, and it raised its pitchfork, which gave off a large amount of violet light as it smashed towards the black tiger. When the black tiger was still 2 meters away from God Kerr smashed down with its pitchfork, and a formless energy smashed the black tiger back to the ground. Scree! At that moment, the blood-red eagle took this opportunity to attack. Its iron claws gave off a sharp aura as it swiped towards God Kerr's head. God Kerr was given a big fright, and it raised its pitchfork to block. God Kerr roared, "Godly demon shield!" Suddenly, a blood-red light shot out from God Kerr's hand, which turned into a massive image of a shield. This shield was 10 meters long and 4 meters wide, and there was an image of a demon with a human body and a goat's head at the center. The blood-red eagle's iron claws ferociously swiped downwards. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the terrifying iron claws were blocked by the image of a shield. Although the shield looked illusory, it actually had extremely powerful defense. Caw! At that moment, the golden crow took this opportunity to attack. It spread its wings and rushed forwards, and its sharp beak pecked towards God Kerr's back. Arr! God Kerr howled as a bloody wound appeared on its back. Violet blood flowed out of the wound, and the wound sizzled. The golden crow's sneak attack had been successful, and its holy light attribute greatly countered God Kerr, which was a demon. This attack infuriated God Kerr, and it gripped its pitchfork, which gave off a large amount of violet light as it stabbed towards the golden crow. The golden crow was given a big fright and flapped its wings to dodge to the side. Divine demonic strike. God Kerr's pitchfork gave off a violet light as a massive pitchfork image stabbed out. The golden crow was unable to dodge in time, and its left wing was hit. It cried out and struggled free, the golden flames around its body becoming much dimmer. Fortunately, this golden crow was not a real life form, but a manifestation of the Sunblaze Immortal Emperor. With a large amount of crystals, it recovered immediately. Roar! The voracious wolf gave a low roar and once again leapt towards God Kerr ferociously. The battle between the four beasts and God Kerr shook the heavens and the earth, and massive explosions continuously sounded out. If it wasn't for the countless Vajra curses in this underground region, it was possible that it would have collapsed. However, after fighting for so long, the four beasts evidently had the upper hand. This was because the four beasts all had their own sources of power. The voracious wolf, eagle, and eagle's power came from the 50,000 soldiers, while the golden crow's power came from the Sunblaze Immortal Emperor formation. However, God Kerr was different. This was only a clone, and its connection to its main body had been cut off by Zhao Fu's isolation barrier. As such, it became weaker and weaker as the battle went on. Roar! The massive black tiger roared as it leapt towards God Kerr, and God Kerr heavily swung its pitchfork. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the two massive powers collided, resulting in a wild gale. While God Kerr was facing off against the black tiger, the golden crow grasped this opportunity to attack God Kerr from behind. However, God Kerr had long since been prepared, and it quickly dodged to the side and swept out with its pitchfork. A massive amount of violet light shined out as a pitchfork image that was many times larger sent the golden crow flying dozens of meters. The golden crow flapped its wings to stabilize its body before once again attacking God Kerr. Seeing the golden crow once again attack, God Kerr's eyes became serious and prepared to attack. Whoosh! A pair of iron claws slashed down, and God Kerr was caught by the blood-red eagle in a moment of carelessness. God Kerr was greatly startled, and it raised its pitchfork and stabbed it towards the blood-red eagle. At that moment, the blood-red eagle forcefully flung God Kerr away. Under this massive force, God Kerr's body flew backwards, but God Kerr flapped its wings, trying to stabilize its body. However, the sound of the air being torn could be heard, and God Kerr looked over in shock to see a massive tiger tail whipping towards it. Bang! A muffled explosion sounded out, and even though God Kerr blocked with its pitchfork, its body was still sent flying. On the other side, the massive voracious wolf bared its sharp fangs, waiting for God Kerr to be sent flying. It then bit down at God Kerr with enough power to crush mountains. Facing this terrifying bite, God Kerr's expression became savage, and it used its remaining divine power to once again cast the godly demon shield. The image of a massive shield appeared in front of the voracious wolf, making it so that its attack was ineffective. However, God Kerr did not let out a sigh of relief, and a berserk gale blew as the massive blood eagle once again ferociously charged over. God Kerr gripped its pitchfork, and a large amount of violet light shined out as God Kerr stabbed out. A massive pitchfork image gave off a terrifying piercing power as it stabbed towards the blood-red eagle. The blood-red eagle had long since seen through this attack, and it flapped its wings and twisted to the side, narrowly dodging this attack. At that moment, the golden crow, voracious wolf, and voracious wolf simultaneously attacked God Kerr. God Kerr's expression became savage, and a blood-red aura flame appeared around its body, causing its aura to become stronger. Activate the 4 divine beast suppressing steel. Zhao Fu saw that God Kerr's aura was becoming stronger and stronger, and he did not hesitate to activate the final formation. Azure, white, red, and blue rays of light shot into the sky, turning into 4 massive images. These 4 images were an azure dragon, a white tiger, a black tortoise, and a vermilion bird. These 4 images appeared in 4 different directions around God Kerr, each giving off a different light. Suddenly, the 4 images shot out a ray of light, forming a square. Immediately, a complete formation appeared, giving off a massive sealing power. God Kerr, who was at the center of the formation, felt its body sink as a formless energy restricted it, making it unable to move at all. The formation gave off a massive power as it slowly descended, and God Kerr was also restricted and descended with the formation. In the end, the 4 images returned to the stone steel, and the formation disappeared underground while God Kerr was restricted, unable to move at all. Now it was time to give God Kerr a final blow and heavily injure it before taking it to the heaven and earth refining formation. After refining it, everything would be over. Zhao Fu stood outside the 4 corners spirit-suppressing formation and looked at God Kerr. For some reason, God Kerr had lowered its proud head because no one could enter the formation, or else they would be sealed. Zhao Fu ordered the countless archers to prepare to shoot at God Kerr. Suddenly, God Kerr once again raised its head and looked at Zhao Fu. Its black eyes instantly became blood red, and a savage smile appeared on its face. Chapter 294. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as a 10-meter-tall, blood-red aura flame appeared around God Kerr's body. Back on the surface, the originally clear sky was now filled with dark clouds, giving off an oppressive aura. Bolts of lightning that were as thick as water buckets descended from the sky and struck the ground, giving off a terrifying aura of destruction. It wasn't just the Forest of Horrors, 3 city lords, and the 6-eyed flood dragon that was in the depths of the Forest of Horrors. All of the living creatures, including the nearby regions, felt this incredibly powerful and evil energy appear. In the underground region, God Kerr's small body doubled in size, becoming 2 meters tall. It was covered with powerful muscles and gave off an extremely terrifying aura. Fire! Zhao Fu's pupils constricted as he yelled. Swish, swish, swish. The countless soldiers who had been waiting vigorously shot out arrows, and the tens of thousands of arrows gave off an incredibly sharp aura as they enveloped God Kerr. Just as the arrows were about to hit, the scene seemed to freeze. The countless arrows stopped 2 meters away from God Kerr before soundlessly turning into traces of black smoke and disappearing. Crack! God Kerr's body blurred, and a crack appeared on each of the 4 divine beast-suppressing steels. In the next second, God Kerr appeared in front of Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu was greatly startled, and he suddenly felt his hairs stand on end. God Kerr gave an extremely evil smile as it said, "Lowly human, you're still underestimating a god." After speaking, God Kerr raised a hand and gave off shocking power as it slammed toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu immediately drew his sword and blocked in front of him. Bang! A muffled explosion sounded out as Zhao Fu's body flew back 100 meters and crashed into a massive beast bone. The beast bone instantly shattered, and Zhao Fu coughed up a mouthful of blood as he fell to the ground. "Your Majesty!" Bai Qi and the others cried out in shock as they controlled the 3 massive beasts to attack God Kerr. Facing the 3 massive beasts that had made him suffer so much, God Kerr grabbed at the air, and the pitchfork that had fallen to the ground automatically returned to his hand. A violet light flowed around the pitchfork, and it became much larger. By now, the 3 massive beasts were only 10 meters away from God Kerr. God Kerr's expression was cold as it swung its pitchfork, causing the air to explode as a 10 or so meter long blood-red crescent slashed out, bringing with it a wild gale. The 3 beasts were unable to dodge such a terrifying attack, and they could only muster their strength to take it head-on. The blood-red crescent brought with it a berserk gale as it slashed towards the 3 beasts, giving off terrifying sounds and shocking power. The 3 beasts were sent flying and crashed to the ground. Their bodies started to collapse, and many of the soldiers coughed up blood. Zhao Fu wiped away the blood from his mouth and once again stood up. He had indeed underestimated him. He had never thought that a clone like him would be able to use the full power of his main body. Zhao Fu drew the slaughtering ghost sword. Because God Kerr was a demon god, using the sky demon sword would instead suppress him. So Zhao Fu slowly closed his eyes and deeply breathed out. When he opened his eyes again, a ray of light shot out, and his body disappeared. Just as God Kerr was about to get rid of Bai Qi and the others, it suddenly felt a massive wave of energy rush towards it, and it raised its pitchfork to block. At that moment, Zhao Fu appeared above God Kerr, and his sword gave off a ferocious and invincible power as it slashed down towards God Kerr. Boom! A massive shock wave blasted out, causing the ground and the surrounding 100 meters to collapse. Feeling this massive wave of energy, God Kerr's eyes narrowed as it looked at Zhao Fu and said in a low voice, "Nation armament." Zhao Fu coldly harumphed and gripped the slaughtering ghost sword with both hands as he pressed it down towards God Kerr. God Kerr became furious as it yelled, "Lowly human, do you think that with this immature nation armament, you can defeat us?" Godly demon-devouring bite. Suddenly, a massive face appeared behind God Kerr. This face was incredibly ugly, and it had a massive mouth. As soon as it appeared, it opened its mouth and gave off a devouring power as it leapt toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu was given a big fright, and he quickly retreated. The ugly face was also incredibly fast, and it caught up to Zhao Fu in an instant. It opened its mouth and bit toward Zhao Fu. As such, Zhao Fu could only counterattack. He sent his power into the slaughtering ghost sword, causing it to give off a faint blood-red light as countless ghosts howled. As the ugly face bit towards him, Zhao Fu gripped the slaughtering ghost sword and vigorously slashed out, sending out a blood-red arc of light that split the ugly face in two. Suddenly, a figure appeared behind Zhao Fu. God Kerr savagely laughed as it gripped its pitchfork with both hands and slammed it down, causing the air to explode. Bang! Zhao Fu was sent flying 100 or so meters away and crashed to the ground. Blood flowed out, dyeing Zhao Fu's back red. Zhao Fu lay on the ground and coughed up a few mouthfuls of blood, feeling as if his back had lost all feeling. Bai Qi and the others were infuriated, and they raised their different general armaments, giving off 3 different auras. The 3 injured beasts, including the Golden Crow, once again attacked God Kerr. Seeing the 4 beasts attack, God Kerr disdainfully harumphed and gripped its violet pitchfork with both hands before stabbing it into the ground. Godly God Domain. A massive energy exploded out with God Kerr at the center, causing the ground to collapse. A massive blood-red energy barrier spread out, covering the surrounding 1,000 meters, causing the ground within that 1,000 meters to cave in by 1 meter. At the same time, the God Domain blocked the 4 beasts outside. This God Domain was incredibly tough, and no matter how the 4 beasts attacked, they were unable to break through it. It was dozens of times tougher than before. God Kerr laughed and looked at Zhao Fu on the ground, saying, "You lowly human, if you give me your nation armament, I won't kill you today. Instead, I'll give you great benefits and make you a child of God." Zhao Fu slowly crawled up from the ground and coldly looked at God Kerr as he said, "A trashy, godly spirit like you wants my nation armament." Hearing Zhao Fu's words, God Kerr was infuriated. Its body disappeared and reappeared beside Zhao Fu, and it raised its pitchfork and stabbed it toward Zhao Fu. However, at that moment, an even greater power exploded out from within Zhao Fu's body. Zhao Fu's entire body shined with a golden light, and 9 golden dragons appeared around Zhao Fu. God Kerr looked quite startled and cried out, "Clan armament!" Boom! Zhao Fu vigorously slashed out with his sword, causing it to give off a massive golden light. A massive sword hum sounded out, giving off terrifying power. God Kerr's reaction was too late, and it could only use all of its divine power to defend. However, it was still sent flying hundreds of meters, and a bone-deep wound appeared on its chest, causing it to cough up a few mouthfuls of blood. Zhao Fu grasped this opportunity and once again attacked. His body disappeared like a bolt of lightning and reappeared beside God Kerr, raising his sword and vigorously slashing down. However, God Kerr once again raised its head and savagely grinned with blood on its face. Chapter 295. Boom! A shocking energy exploded out, and the dark clouds in the sky and on the ground parted as rays of blood-red light descended from the sky, covering the surrounding 10,000 kilometers. These rays of blood-red light contained an incomparably evil and dark aura, as well as a supreme and undefiable aura. All living creatures in this region crawled on the ground and trembled. This was a terrifying power that could cause people to feel despair. This was God's might. From a distance, it looked like a blood-red world. The terrifying blood-red light dyed everything blood-red, and the surroundings became deathly silent. The Forest of Horror's 3 city lords stood in the air, looking at this scene in the distance as they muttered in shock, "Demon God's descent." Back in the underground region, God Kerr exploded out with a shocking power, and the surrounding space seemed to be unable to withstand it. It gave off ear-piercing sounds as it started to collapse. Everything around it turned into nothingness, and the place where God Kerr had been turned into a black hole. Zhao Fu was forced back 10 or so meters by this explosion of power. God Kerr walked out of the black hole, continuously giving off a blood-red aura as it savagely stared at Zhao Fu. It gripped its pitchfork, which had become even larger, and its body leaned forwards as it turned into a ray of light and shot toward Zhao Fu. The pitchfork stabbed out with terrifying power. Zhao Fu used his slaughtering ghost sword to block the pitchfork, but the power behind the pitchfork caused Zhao Fu to slide back 10 or so meters. Only then was he able to stabilize himself and block God Kerr's attack. However, at that moment, God Kerr spun its pitchfork, causing the slaughtering ghost sword to fly out of Zhao Fu's hand. God Kerr savagely laughed, and it grasped this opportunity as it put away its pitchfork and stabbed toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu immediately dodged to the side, causing the pitchfork to miss. However, God Kerr suddenly grabbed the pitchfork with its other hand and twisted its powerful body. God Kerr gripped the pitchfork and slammed it towards Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu felt a chill in his heart. He crossed his arms in front of him, and the 9 golden dragons also did their best to protect Zhao Fu's body. God Kerr savagely laughed, godly demonic thrust. The pitchfork once again exploded out with violet light, forming an even larger pitchfork image that brought with it a massive wind as it slammed into Zhao Fu's body. Bang! A muffled explosion sounded out as Zhao Fu's body once again flew back. God Kerr leapt up and turned into a ray of light as it chased after Zhao Fu, its pitchfork once again stabbing towards Zhao Fu's chest. However, at that moment, a spear made entirely of talisman papers appeared in Zhao Fu's hand. Zhao Fu gripped the evil-crushing spear tightly and sent his power into it. The evil-crushing spear immediately gave off waves of silver light and arcs of lightning. Just as God Kerr was about to stab out with its pitchfork, Zhao Fu threw out the evil-crushing spear first. The evil-crushing spear gave off a large amount of silver light as it turned into a massive ray of light and slammed into God Kerr. At such a close distance, God Kerr was unable to dodge, and it was struck in the shoulder by the evil-crushing spear. God Kerr tried to grab onto the evil-crushing spear, but its body was knocked back 100 meters by the massive ray of silver light. The evil-crushing spear turned into motes of light and disappeared, leaving behind a small hole in God Kerr's shoulder from which violet blood flowed out. Feeling the pain in its shoulder, God Kerr's expression became savage as it gripped its pitchfork and rushed at Zhao Fu. By now, Zhao Fu had landed on the ground, and seeing God Kerr rush at him, he drew the sky demon sword at his waist and stabbed it into the ground. A large amount of demonic chi flowed out of the sword and into the ground, dyeing the ground black and covering the surrounding 1,000 meters. God Kerr was now only 10 meters away from Zhao Fu, and Zhao Fu raised his hand and opened his palm. A black light shined out, and a black mark appeared. Swish, swish, swish! Countless black spikes that were as thick as God Kerr's arms shot out from the ground, giving God Kerr a big fright. It swung its pitchfork, slicing apart a few of the black spikes. However, there were simply too many of them, and they came from all directions. God Kerr could only flap its wings and fly into the sky. However, the black spikes were incredibly ferocious, and even though God Kerr was using its pitchfork to defend, a few of the black spikes still managed to hit God Kerr, causing a few more wounds to appear on its body. God Kerr looked furious as it flew in the sky, its blood-red eyes looking at the sky demon sword in Zhao Fu's hand. "You, sky demon, dare to injure me?" Within the sky demon sword, the sky demon's expression was one of fear. Even though it was a sky demon, one of the most powerful races in the demon abyss, and it would not be afraid of any demonic creatures, this was a demon god, so how could it not be afraid? Following this, the sky demon started to feel fear, and the sky demon sword also started to tremble. Seeing this, Zhao Fu sent in a massive amount of fate energy from the imperial ruler's seal, causing the sky demon to calm down. In the sky, God Kerr furiously raised its pitchfork and roared, "Godly hell fireball!" 3 black and blood-red tongues of flame floated above God Kerr's head, and a massive amount of heaven and earth spirit chi quickly gathered. The 3 tongues of black and blood-red tongues of flame turned into 3 fireballs that were dozens of meters wide, and a terrifying heat spread out from them. God Kerr pointed its pitchfork at Zhao Fu, and the 3 fireballs quickly flew out. Bang! 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 The 3 fireballs landed on the ground, resulting in massive explosions. The fiery light was blinding, and the ground trembled as large amounts of dust and bones were thrown into the air. Boom! At that moment, a massive silver ray of light, giving off evil-destroying power, shot towards God-Kur from behind. God-Kur was quite startled, and it stabbed out with its pitchfork, blocking the silver ray of light. It then looked behind it and saw that Zhao Fu was completely fine, and he was also standing in the air. Luckily, Zhao Fu had prepared a flight stone, and he used it to fly into the air and dodge this attack. Looking at the 3 100-meter-wide craters on the ground, he felt quite shocked. God-Kur furiously charged at Zhao Fu, but Zhao Fu slashed open the God domain and flew out, while God-Kur chased after him. However, at that moment, 4 rays of light shot into the sky, and 4 images appeared, once again forming a formation that bound God-Kur. Even though the 4 divine beast-suppressing steel was damaged, it had not lost its effectiveness. However, the sealing power that it released was much weaker than before. God-Kur looked at the formation that had trapped it and laughed, saying, "Lowly humans, you thought you could trap us with this?" After it finished speaking, God-Kur stretched out its hands and tore the formation apart. However, Zhao Fu coldly laughed and pointed with his finger, causing a brilliant golden crow to fly towards God-Kur. Bang! The golden crow exploded, giving off a massive explosion and a blinding light, causing the entire underground region to tremble. The explosion created a terrifying shockwave that swept out. Godly demon blood stains the heavens. Suddenly, a figure giving off a terrifying aura appeared beside Zhao Fu, causing Zhao Fu to feel quite surprised. SSSS. Chapter 296. Zhao Fu covered his severed arm and immediately retreated. By now, God-Kur's body was 3 meters tall, and its muscles were even more solid. Its body gave off a large amount of blood-red aura, and it was 3 meters wide like a massive flame. God-Kur stood in the air and savagely looked at the retreating Zhao Fu. Suddenly, it found that the blood flowing from its arm was quite strange, and it had a trace of a black gold color to it. God-Kur looked at it and picked up Zhao Fu's severed arm, opened its mouth, and took a bite. It was quite surprised, and it loudly laughed. "Ha ha! I never thought that you'd be a king in the human world. This bloodline is quite pure. It's an early-stage king bloodline. If I can eat you, it won't be a waste of all that divine power." After speaking, God-Kur picked up Zhao Fu's severed arm and started to eat it in large bites in front of Zhao Fu. Seeing this, the countless soldiers and generals furiously rushed over. Zhao Fu turned and yelled seriously, "Hurry! Leave this place. This is an order." Zhao Fu's words caused the generals to stop. Even though they were unwilling, this was Zhao Fu's order, and they understood that they could not harm God-Kur at all. If they charged over, they would only cause trouble for Zhao Fu. The countless generals could only anxiously lead the countless soldiers and leave this underground passageway. However, God-Kur did not mind, and it finished eating Zhao Fu's arm in a few bites. Not even the bones were left, and its face was covered with blood. After eating Zhao Fu's arm, God-Kur savagely grinned as it looked at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu's gaze was cold as he looked at God-Kur. He had no idea what kind of secret technique it had used to cause its battle power to instantly increase by so much. Swish! God-Kur instantly crossed dozens of meters and appeared in front of Zhao Fu. It raised its pitchfork and stabbed toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu had long since used his king's power to stop the blood from flowing out of his arm, and he dodged to the side. After missing its attack, God-Kur stretched out a hand, and countless traces of blood-red aura gathered on its arm, forming a massive blood-red hand that grabbed toward Zhao Fu. Sky Demon Slash. Zhao Fu roared and gripped the Sky Demon sword tightly, slashing at the incoming blood-red hand. A sharp black arc of light flashed, splitting the blood-red hand in two. God-Kur coldly harumphed as it gripped its pitchfork and said, "Divine Spirit Light." Suddenly, God-Kur's pitchfork gave off a large amount of blood-red light, and the blood-red light gathered at the 3 tips of the pitchfork. God Kerr then stabbed towards the escaping Zhao Fu. 3 beams of blood-red light, each as thick as a finger and extremely sharp, shot towards Zhao Fu. This gave Zhao Fu a big fright, and he twisted his body. However, the 3 rays of light were incredibly fast and tore through the air before disappearing. The rays of light were incredibly sharp, and not only did they cut through Zhao Fu's clothes, but they also left a gash on Zhao Fu's waist, causing blood to flow out. Zhao Fu turned to look at God Kerr, and a savage expression appeared on his face. However, he couldn't help but force himself to calm down and think. The Sunblaze Emperor Immortal Formation has already been destroyed by Zhao Fu's self-detonation. So there's still the 12 General Ghost Suppressing Formation and the 4 Corners Spirit Suppressing Steel, which already has 2 cracks on it. As for the 6-Wood Absolute Barrier, it can't be used for now. Zhao Fu thought of an idea and immediately flew downwards. God Kerr immediately turned into a ray of light and chased after him, while Zhao Fu returned to the ground. Looking at God Kerr, he once again used the 4 Corners Spirit Suppressing Steel. The 4 stone steels shot out faint rays of light that turned into the Azure Dragon, White Tiger, Vermilion Bird, and Black Tortoise. They appeared around God Kerr, forming an incredibly weak formation. This success caused God Kerr's body to pause, and just as God Kerr was about to tear apart this formation, Zhao Fu fully activated the 12 General Ghost Suppressing Formation, causing the images of 12 generals to shoot out from the wooden statues and attack God Kerr. Facing the generals' attacks and the formation, God Kerr roared as its aura rose. It vigorously swung its pitchfork, sending out a 20-meter-long blood-red crescent moon. The blood-red crescent moon was incredibly terrifying, and it instantly destroyed the generals and the formation. The 4 Corners Spirit Suppressing Stone Steels, and the 12 General Ghost Suppressing Formation's wooden statues were all shattered. Suddenly, Zhao Fu vigorously threw out the Sky Demon Sword, which turned into a black ray of light and shot towards God Kerr. God Kerr had just used a large-scale attack, so its aura was quite weak. However, facing the Sky Demon Sword, it was still quite easy to deal with. It swung its pitchfork and sent the Sky Demon Sword flying into the sky. Sword Spirit Awakening. Zhao Fu suddenly yelled, and the Sky Demon Sword gave off waves of black light as a tall and slim figure with a pair of wings appeared. It was the Sky Demon. After appearing, the Sky Demon grabbed the Sky Demon Sword and cried out as she gave off an incredibly sharp sword aura as she flew down from the sky and slashed down towards God Kerr. God Kerr disdainfully harumphed and raised its pitchfork to block this attack. Ark! Another cry sounded out as a figure with long black hair and red armor appeared. It was the Slaughtering Ghost. The Slaughtering Ghost gripped the sword in her hand, causing it to give off a large amount of blood-red light, and it gave off an eerie, ghostly energy as it slashed towards God Kerr from the side. This gave God Kerr a big fright, and it stretched out its hand, causing a 10-meter-long, 4-meter-wide shield image to appear and block the Slaughtering Ghost. Pooh! A spear giving off a silver light stabbed into God Kerr's body, and Zhao Fu suddenly appeared behind God Kerr. God Kerr cried out in pain and stretched out its hand, causing countless rays of blood-red light to condense in its hand. A massive blood-red hand gave off massive power and sent the 3 of them flying. However, at that moment, Zhao Fu threw out a crystal-like eyeball. It was the Crystal Realm Eye of Destruction. After the Crystal Realm Eye of Destruction was thrown out, it floated in the air and looked at God Kerr as if it had come to life. God Kerr suddenly felt a chill down its back as it felt an immense sense of danger. In the next second, the Crystal Realm Eye of Destruction shot out a ray of crystal light, and everything around it started to crystallize. Whether it was the ground, the sky, the air, the floating dust, or even time and space, everything started to crystallize. God Kerr was given a big fright, and it used the shield image to block in front of it. However, the shield also instantly crystallized, and God Kerr immediately tried to escape. However, it was too late, and its body turned into a crystal statue in less than a second. In just a few seconds, the surrounding 10,000 meters had turned into a world of crystals. Zhao Fu also looked quite shocked. The crystal realm Eye of Destruction's power completely surpassed anything he had expected. No wonder it was one of the most dangerous items in the description. Kacha! Crack! Crack! Cracks started to appear on God Ker's body, and Zhao Fu was once again given a big fright and rushed over with a dagger in his hand. This was the Death Dagger, and as Zhao Fu held it, his lifespan quickly decreased. Zhao Fu rushed in front of God Ker, and all of the crystals on God Ker's body fell off. However, God Ker's body was covered with blood. At that moment, Zhao Fu stabbed the Death Dagger into God Ker's chest, causing God Ker to howl. The gray, deathly aura that the Death Dagger gave off immediately covered God Ker's chest, taking away its life force. Zhao Fu didn't hesitate and gripped an evil-crushing spear with one hand, sending all of his power into it. The evil-crushing spear gave off a large amount of silver light and countless arcs of silver lightning, giving off an aura that seemed to be able to destroy all evils in the world. Pooh! Zhao Fu stabbed out with all of his strength, and the evil-crushing spear pierced through God Ker's chest. However, at that moment, God Ker howled and used the last of its strength to stab out with its pitchfork. Instantly, blood flew everywhere, and Zhao Fu looked quite confused as blood leaked out of his mouth. His chest had been pierced by the pitchfork. Chapter 297. Bang! A muffled explosion sounded out as God Ker's massive body fell to the ground, and Zhao Fu's legs weakened as he also fell forwards. At that moment, a figure appeared beside Zhao Fu and hugged Zhao Fu. A trace of concern appeared on her cold face as she said, "Master." Cough. Zhao Fu coughed up another mouthful of blood. Because of God Ker's death, the pitchfork had disappeared, but Zhao Fu could see that God Ker's body was still giving off a blood-red aura, and it would soon disappear. "Hurry and refine," Zhao Fu weakly said to the slaughtering ghost. Sha Gue nodded and looked up at the heavenly demon, who was staring at her with puffed-up cheeks, and said, "Come and hold on to Master. I'll go and refine God Ker." Hearing this, the sky demon lightly harumphed and immediately smiled. When she saw that Zhao Fu was heavily injured and was about to fall, she immediately ran over to show Zhao Fu how loyal and good she was. Perhaps Zhao Fu would be moved and give her the king's remnant soul that he had been yearning for. However, the slaughtering ghost was a step faster than her, so the sky demon stood to the side and bitterly looked at the slaughtering ghost. She felt that the slaughtering ghost was simply too scheming. It was always trying to steal opportunities from her. Hearing the slaughtering ghost's words, the sky demon happily ran over and hugged Zhao Fu. She looked incredibly sad as she looked at Zhao Fu affectionately and said, "Master, please don't let anything happen to you. Otherwise, I'll be very sad." Zhao Fu felt quite speechless, and he weakly asked the slaughtering ghost to bring him to the heaven and earth refining formation. Seeing that she wasn't able to move Zhao Fu, the sky demon thought that the slaughtering ghost must have already used it once, so it was useless. However, she had never thought that her acting would be so bad. However, when the heavenly demon heard Zhao Fu's words, she responded with a smile. She was also very curious as to what the heaven and earth refining formation would obtain after refining this godly spirit. Slaughtering Ghost lifted God Ker's body onto the heaven and earth refining formation, while the sky demon half knelt beside the altar and had Zhao Fu lie on her legs as she watched the godly spirit being refined. At that moment, Slaughtering Ghost activated the heaven and earth refining formation, and a massive explosion sounded out as the 1,000 energy stones on the jade trough were turned into dust. A massive wave of energy lifted God Ker's body into the air. The heaven and earth refining formation on the altar gave off a faint light and started to spin, shooting out a massive pillar of light. Within this pillar of light, God Ker's body started to collapse. Within the depths of the demon world, there was a demon that was one. 3 meters tall, and had 3 short horns on its head. Its eyes were pure black, and it had 2 pairs of wings, one large and one small, on its back. It was God Kerr's main body, and it looked incredibly furious. As a god, it had actually been killed by someone. This was simply too humiliating. However, that was the legacy land, and it was protected by the heaven domain boundary. My main body's power was unable to descend to its full potential. I never thought that lowly human would have an early-stage royal bloodline, a nation armament, and even a clan armament. If I could obtain those 3 items, they would be of great help to me. It's a pity that I've missed this opportunity. Suddenly, God Kerr felt a soul-tearing pain, and its body fell to the ground as it howled. Dark clouds suddenly appeared in the sky, and blood-red lightning bolts containing terrifying power descended. Each bolt of lightning could split apart a small hill, and massive gale started to blow, uprooting massive trees and boulders. The blood-red lightning bolts and the gale savagely rampaged about, accompanied by God Kerr's howls. The scene was incredibly terrifying and could cause anyone's heart to tremble. Above the heaven and earth refining formation, God Kerr's body gradually collapsed and turned into dust, leaving behind a blood-red tongue of flame that was as big as a thumb that lightly swayed in the air. After this tongue of flame appeared, it gave off a formless might and an aura of source energy. Its power was incredibly shocking, and even though the tongue of flame continuously swayed, the space around it twisted and changed. Within the depths of the demon world, God Kerr stopped howling, and there was a trace of blood at its mouth. It felt as if something had been torn from its soul. Immediately, its face twisted with rage as it roared, "Human, I'll definitely kill you." The 3 people beside the heaven and earth refining formation also felt that this tongue of flame was incredibly powerful. Zhao Fu stretched out his hand, and the tongue of flame floated into Zhao Fu's hand. Seeing this tongue of flame, the sky demon holding Zhao Fu instinctively felt a trace of fear, and Zhao Fu started to look at it. Divinity, a godly spirit's source energy that contains incredibly powerful and terrifying power. Cough. Looking at this tongue of flame stats, Zhao Fu felt quite shocked. This was a godly spirit's source energy, and its effects were indeed heaven-defying. After all, godly spirits transcended laws and had world-destroying power, and this flame's source energy contained such power. However, after looking at it, Zhao Fu coughed up another mouthful of blood. Zhao Fu felt that his life force was rapidly fading, and his king's power was unable to heal him. By now, Zhao Fu's consciousness started to become hazy. Am I going to die? Zhao Fu didn't want to die. Even though this wouldn't be a true death, many things would be erased, including some professions, stats, and cultivation. Moreover, he wouldn't be able to enter the heaven-awakened world for 10 days. In the end, Zhao Fu looked at the tongue of flame and made an important decision. He decided to fuse with this divinity because it could heal his injuries. Slaughtering Ghost, Sky Demon, you 2 guard the entrance and don't let anyone in, Zhao Fu said weakly. Slaughtering Ghost nodded with a serious expression, and Sky Demon also nodded seriously before walking towards the entrance with their body swords in hand. Zhao Fu lay on the altar and weakly put the tongue of flame against his chest. Ark! An incredibly pained cry sounded out as Zhao Fu felt his entire body and soul tremble. The flesh on his chest was torn apart, and even his organs were exposed. The tongue of flame slowly fused into Zhao Fu's body, but Zhao Fu felt as if he had fallen into a raging inferno, and his entire body was being burned. This pained cry caused Slaughtering Ghost and Sky Demon to pause. Slaughtering Ghost looked incredibly worried and wanted to go back and stand guard by Zhao Fu's side. However, Sky Demon stopped her. Sky Demon looked incredibly worried. After being by Zhao Fu's side for so long, it was the first time she had heard Zhao Fu cry out in such pain. Don't go back. Listen to Master's orders. Slaughtering Ghost could only look back worriedly, but she still chose to listen to Zhao Fu's orders. Even if she went, she wouldn't be able to help Zhao Fu, so she could only watch from aside. Art. Chapter 298. At the entrance to the underground region, Bai Qi and the other generals were waiting outside when they suddenly heard Zhao Fu's screams. They immediately wanted to go in, but they were stopped by Slaughtering Ghost and the Sky Demon. Master said that no one can enter. Hearing that it was Zhao Fu's order, Bai Qi and the others could only stop and anxiously pace back and forth. Zhao Fu opened his mouth and screamed in pain on the altar. He struggled and twisted, and his skin seemed to be peeling off. His flesh, blood, and organs began to melt under the power of the flame. His bones were broken, and Zhao Fu's screams became hoarse. Then it slowly weakened. The altar was covered with blood. A gray blood-red light covered the altar, and a sinister black aura spread out, causing Bai Qi and the others to feel a chill in their hearts. As God Kerr died, the abnormal signs in the sky gradually disappeared, and everything returned to normal. Many people let out a sigh of relief. However, the nation armament and imperial ruler's seal next to the city heart started to tremble uneasily. Traces of black and blood-red aura rose up from the ground of Qin's territory, giving off an aura of annihilation. He Xianru, who was in the middle of reprimanding Ho Qing, suddenly sensed something, and her face paled in fright. Looking down, aside from strands of black qi, there were strands of bloody qi coming out of her body as well. He Xianru immediately rushed out and looked up into the sky. Indeed, a gigantic violet star had broken through the restrictions of the sky and was slowly descending into the mortal world. As the violet star descended, an oppressive, and dangerous aura began to spread, as if a great tribulation was about to descend. Taoism, Confucianism, Yin-Yang school, Moism, medicine, agriculture, legalism, FAMU, those from the 100 schools of philosophers who had some understanding of numerology, all sensed some changes. Their eyes narrowed as they looked at the purple star that had appeared in the sky. The Western fortune tellers and native wizards were also the first to sense this terrifying fluctuation. Some of the legatees of the various great kingdoms were chatting with others. Some were leading their soldiers to conquer villages, and some were dealing with internal affairs. Suddenly, all of them stopped in unison as the fate dragons within their bodies became restless. Only then did they notice the purple star in the sky, and they all frowned. The city lords of the various regions also sensed something, and they walked outside uneasily to look at the violet star in the sky. In the depths of the various regions, all sorts of super terrifying creatures stayed in their nests in fear as they looked up at the purple star. Within the Forest of Horrors, the 3 city lords standing in the air looked up at the violet star in the sky in shock. Their bodies trembled under the destructive aura, and they felt as if they were incredibly small in front of a raging tsunami. The 3 of them looked at each other and immediately returned to their system main cities, not daring to stay here for even a second longer. All of the creatures in the Forest of Horrors started to flee as if there was an earthquake. As time passed, some of the ordinary people in the wilderness also felt a pressure on their chests, and they also looked up at the purple star. In the real world, there was also a massive violet star that descended during the day. Many people had seen the Myrtle Imperial Star before, so they looked at it in surprise, but did not look back. However, the violet star brought the aura of destruction from the heaven-awakened world into the real world. An invisible aura pressed down on them, and their chests suddenly felt heavy and uncomfortable. The elders of countless families and sects stared at the purple star with solemn expressions. Countless elders in the clan also frowned as they looked at the purple star, not saying a word for a long time. At that moment, a cute little girl walked over to an elderly man's side and looked up at the violet stars in the sky as she asked curiously, "Grandpa, this Myrtle Imperial Star is so strange. I'm scared just by looking at it." The elder looked down solemnly and rubbed the little girl's head as he said in a low voice, "This is no longer the Myrtle Imperial Star. Look at this violet star. It no longer has that noble and supreme aura." "Oh." The little girl nodded and then asked curiously, "What kind of star is this?" Just as the elder was about to say something, he found that the sky gradually darkened, and the oppressive aura became more and more intense. The elder's expression fell, and he patted the little girl's head as he said, "Hurry, go back." The little girl pouted and looked quite unwilling as she walked back into the house. Soon, the sky in both the heaven-awakened world and the real world darkened. There were no stars or moons, and only that massive violet star gave off a bright violet light. The entire world seemed to fall silent. Arg. In the underground region, Zhao Fu's pupils dilated as he once again howled. It was as if his entire soul was being twisted and crushed. Boom! A shocking explosion sounded out as the underground region seemed to be torn apart. A blood-red pillar of light exploded out from Zhao Fu's body, piercing through the ground and shooting towards the violet star in the sky. Boom! Another massive explosion sounded out as the blood-red pillar of light shot towards the violet star. From a distance, it looked like a blood-red pillar standing between the heavens and the earth, causing clouds to swirl. The massive violet star gave off a violet wave of light that rippled out. Crackle! The sky seemed to explode as countless blood-red arcs of lightning landed on the ground, blasting out massive craters. The ground started to tremble as a massive gale started to blow. Even in the distance, one could hear the massive whistling sounds, as well as the apocalyptic explosions. The pitch-black sky, the rampaging lightning, the shaking ground, the terrifying gale, and the terrified people screaming in fear. It was as if the end of the world had arrived. The massive violet star in the sky also started to go through changes. At that moment, CG, Zhang Heng, Di Wuqian, Lu Yi, Ji Shanming, Tina Pendragon, Li Baiqing, Oda Kamaya. Countless people's pupils constricted and their bodies trembled as they looked at the violet star in the sky. They found that the violet light that the violet star gave off started to fade and turn into a devilish blood-red light. Drops of scarlet blood began to seep out of the gigantic purple star. The blood gradually died, the purple star the color of blood. Finally, a massive star giving off a devilish blood-red light appeared in the sky, giving off a boundless coldness, evil, and bloodlust. Countless dynasty legatees stood there and stared at the blood-red star. A trace of blood leaked out of their lips as they once again suffered a fate backlash. Chapter 299. Chaos. The Chaos Star was like fire, and it gave off a devilish blood-red light. It was the most dangerous star in the world, and it was also called the Demon Star. In ancient times, the Chaos Star was the most inauspicious star. Every time it descended, it signified the death of an emperor and the fall of a prime minister. The world would be plunged into chaos, and it signified a great calamity. The Chaos Star was synonymous with disaster, and it signified drought, famine, war, death, demons, slaughter, and so on. In countless people's hearts, the Chaos Star was the most dangerous demon star, and no one could have imagined that Qin's Myrtle Imperial Star would fall into the demonic path and become the Chaos Imperial Star. Just what was Qin's legatee doing? The Myrtle Imperial Star was the most noble star in the world, and it represented supreme power and was the symbol of the Son of Heaven. The Chaos Demon Star was the most dangerous star in the world, and it represented a great calamity. It was also the symbol of chaos and death. If these two things fused together, just how terrifying would it be? This was the reason why countless people were so shocked and panicked. The massive blood-red star in the sky not only gave off an aura of disaster, conquest, and slaughter, but the noble aura that had disappeared from before also gradually reappeared. This meant that the Myrtle Imperial Star and the Chaos Demon Star had completely fused. At that moment, the devilish blood-red light became more than 100 times brighter than before, and it shone down on the ground. A formless energy spread out, shaking the entire heavens and earth. At that moment, the entire world fell into chaos. Volcanoes erupted, and earthquakes shook the surroundings. Floods devoured everything, and countless terrifying disasters appeared. It was as if the world was about to be destroyed. It wasn't just the legatees and fate dragons within their bodies that started to go berserk. Even ordinary people were affected. Some suddenly fell ill, while others suddenly became berserk and bloodthirsty. Those who understood fate would find traces of blood-red aura around these people. Everyone had their own fate, but they were all affected by the Chaos Imperial Star. This was not just in the Heaven Awakened world, but also in the real world. The Ying family's Zhao Fu's body automatically left the bed and floated into the air. Countless traces of blood-red aura rose up from his body, giving off a terrifying and evil aura. Sensing this power, Qiu Fengzi looked incredibly shocked and coughed up a few mouthfuls of blood, and his consciousness withered. Yi Xianru looked at the blood-red star with a trace of fear in her eyes. The Chaos Imperial Star formed from the fusion of the Myrtle Imperial Star, and the Chaos Demon Star not only affected everyone, but it was also incredibly harmful to espers and espers like them. Because Mars was a calamity that affected everything, even heaven and earth. People like them who used magical arts and were familiar with karmic luck were the main targets of Mars' destruction. That was why their eyes had been injured by the demonic blood-colored light. Even though Yi Xianru was protected by Qin's fate, she still looked incredibly worried about the Chaos Demon Star fusing with the Myrtle Imperial Star. In another region, Zhang Heng rode on his donkey and didn't move as he looked at the demonic star with a serious expression. The Myrtle Imperial Star fusing with the Chaos Demon Star was something that had never happened before, and it was a calamity for the world. What had Qin's legatee done? Why did his life providence suddenly undergo such a huge change? Suyin was also in a building, and looking at the blood-red star, he sighed. With Qin's legatee's fate, he wouldn't be able to change anything. If he wasn't careful, he might even be consigned to eternal damnation. Great Xia's CG, Great Shang's Di Wutian, Great Zhou's Ji Shunming, Great Han's Luyi, King Arthur's descendant, Pharaoh's descendant, and the Roman Empire's descendant. Countless people looked at the blood-red star giving off demonic starlight and felt incredibly bitter. They realized that they had once again underestimated Qin's legatee. Within the blood-red pillar of light, Zhao Fu, who was almost in a soul-like state, once again howled in pain. Following this, his body started to reform. First, his bones started to form, and then his flesh started to grow. Boom! A shocking explosion sounded out as the gigantic demon star in the sky exploded out with a terrifying power. The entire sky seemed to twist as the blood-red light shined down on the ground, making it seem like a demon had started to evilly smile. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as all of the legatees coughed up a mouthful of blood and took a step back. Countless people's legs became weak as a massive power weighed down on their bodies. Only then did countless people realize that the Chaos Imperial Star had truly descended. Following this, the blood-red light that the Chaos Imperial Star gave off became even brighter, and the effects became even more terrifying. Volcanoes, earthquakes, and tsunamis all became even more intense. Some people directly died, and some people's eyes became bloodshot as if they had lost their minds. How could we allow such a demonic star to descend? Within the ancient clans, the Xianyuan clan's chief looked at the disaster caused by the Chaos Imperial Star and felt incredibly shocked. This was before the Chaos Imperial Star had truly descended. If it had truly descended, how terrifying would it be? Countless elders from the various ancient clans hurried over and entered the Heaven Awakened world. The real world was in the age of chaos, so the abilities they could unleash were quite limited. However, the Heaven Awakened world was different. They had obtained their ancestors' legacies, so the abilities they could unleash were much more powerful. After coming to the Heaven Awakened world, the elders stood within a massive magic formation. There were 4 people at the center of the magic formation, while the others stood outside. The 4 people at the center were the Xianyuan clan, the Nuwa clan, the Shinnon clan, and the Fushi clan. They each took out a large golden sword, a rainbow-colored stone, a dark green cauldron, and a black 8 trigrams disc. The other elders started to perform hand seals, and the magic formation on the ground gave off immense power as it started to activate. A large golden sword, the rainbow-colored stone, the dark green cauldron, and the black 8 trigrams disc all gave off different lights and gave off holy and dignified auras as they slowly rose up from the 4 elders' hands. The 4 elders' expressions were quite serious, as they also started to perform hand seals and started to chant, "The demonic star has descended to harm all living beings. Primogenitor's descendants, seal and sever them." After speaking, the 4 elders finished performing hand seals and simultaneously stretched out a hand towards the people in front of them. The magic formation beneath their feet also gave off a bright light, and the large golden sword floated in the air. The rainbow-colored stone, the dark green cauldron, and the black 8 trigrams disc all gave off brilliant lights and started to tremble. Boom! A shocking explosion sounded out as 4 massive chains shot up from the ground, giving off an unstoppable aura as they reached into the sky. Clanging sounds rang out. Chapter 300. Clang. The sound of metal clashing resounded through the sky, for chains that emitted different lights wrapped around the demonic star. Each of them was stretched taut, locking it in place. Although the 4 chains were very large, each of them was 2 to 3 meters thick compared to the blood-red star, they seemed a little small, and this was even more so from a distance. Following this, the Chaos Imperial Star was locked down by the 4 chains, and the blood-red light it gave off gradually dimmed, and the evil aura it gave off also weakened. The disasters caused by the Chaos Imperial Star, the people who had lost their minds, and the people who had gone berserk all gradually calmed down. Everyone let out a sigh of relief, and the fate dragons within the legatees' bodies became docile. The abnormal signs caused by the Chaos Imperial Star gradually disappeared, and everything returned to normal. All of the elders on the massive magic formation relaxed a bit. However, at that moment, the massive demon star in the sky started to slowly spin, giving off a massive pressure, and the 4 chains immediately tightened. The 4 elders were greatly startled, and they immediately put their palms together and chanted, once again unleashing some sort of power. Their bodies shined with different colored lights, causing the 4 chains to tighten around the Chaos Imperial Star. As the 4 chains tightened, the Chaos Imperial Star's rotation gradually slowed down. In the underground region, Zhao Fu's body stopped reforming, and boundless pain assaulted him. Zhao Fu once again howled, and this time, it sounded more like a beast howl. Clang! The sound of metal shattering could be heard as the massive demon star once again started to spin. One of the 4 chains around it snapped, and as the demon star spun with immense power, the remaining 3 chains also snapped. This shocked everyone, and the demon star's blood-red light once again brightened, shining down on the ground. This time, it was even brighter, bloodier, and more evil than before. The various disasters that had calmed down once again erupted, and the situation was even more severe than before. Even the beast's eyes became blood-red, and they started to tear at each other. The entire world seemed to be on the brink of destruction. On a mountain shrouded in celestial aura, a Taoist priest in a silver robe looked at the demonic star that had broken free from its shackles and sighed. Then his expression sank, and he said loudly, "All Taoist disciples, listen up. Activate the Tai, Chi, Yin-Yang formation." In a simple and unadorned building, a person wearing a black cloak and giving off a mysterious aura looked at the devilish star that had broken free and said seriously, "All Yin-Yang school disciples, heed my orders. Activate the 5 elements formation." On a high platform, there was a middle-aged man in scholarly robes who gave off a scholarly aura. He looked up at the devilish star that had just broken free, and he said with a serious expression, "All scholarly disciples, heed my command. Activate the righteousness formation." On a patch of grass, A resolute-looking middle-aged man dressed in gray robes and with a charcoal-like sword at his waist looked at the devilish star that had broken free and immediately yelled, "All Mahist disciples, heed my orders. Activate the Mahist sect formation." In front of the building, there was a square-faced, middle-aged man who gave off a masculine aura. He also looked at the devilish star that had broken free and said in a low voice, "All school of military disciples, heed my orders. Activate the soldier conquering formation." At that moment, the people from the 100 schools of thought started to activate their great formations. Other sects, such as the Buddhist sect, Maoshan sect, and Shaman sect, also started to activate their great formations. All of the sects with great fate legacies started to activate their great formations. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as a massive white chain from the Taoist sect gave off a massive aura as it rushed towards the devilish star in the sky. Boom! Another massive explosion sounded out as a five-colored chain gave off a shocking aura as it shot towards the demon star in the sky from where the school of Yin Yang was. Boom! Boom! Massive explosions sounded out as the school of Confucianism, the school of legalism, the school of military, the school of Moism, the Buddhist sect, the divine Tao sect. Countless sects and factions shot out massive chains that gave off powerful auras as they tore through the clouds and stretched toward the star, giving off devilish blood-red light in the sky. Shing! 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 The sound of metal clashing rang out. At least 100 chains shot out from various parts of China and locked onto the huge star that was emitting a demonic blood-red light. With so many chains, the Chaos Imperial Star finally stopped spinning, and the devilish, blood-red light it gave off gradually dimmed. The heavens and earth became calm again, and everyone once again let out a sigh of relief. Ark, in the underground region, within the blood-red pillar of light, Zhao Fu's body once again stopped being reconstructed. The tearing pain once again assaulted him, and Zhao Fu couldn't help but howl in pain. Bai Qi, Wang Jian, and Wei Liao, who were guarding the entrance, sensed something and looked furious as they took out the general armaments at their waists. 7 murders. Voracious wolf. Army destroyer. 3 loud roars sounded out as Bai Qi, Wang Jian, and Wei Liao raised their general armaments and unleashed their general fate with all of their might. Boom! 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 The 3 pillars of light gave off terrifying auras as they shot into the sky, causing the entire sky to tremble. Everyone who had let out a sigh of relief was once again given a big fright. They looked up at the sky and saw a blood-red star giving off boundless killing intent, a black star giving off countless conquering intents, and a green star giving off a strange aura slowly descend. These 3 stars were also incredibly big, but compared to the Chaos Imperial Star, they seemed quite small, like a tomato compared to cantaloupe. After the 7 Murders Star, Voracious Wolf Star, and Army Destroyer Star appeared, they surrounded the Chaos Imperial Star, which was bound by countless chains, and started to unleash their power. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as a formless energy spread out from the sky, causing countless clouds to be shattered. The 3 general stars gave off brilliant starlight and started to help the Chaos Imperial Star break free from its bindings. No one had expected or forgotten that the owner of the Chaos Imperial Star had 3 general stars that could shake the heavens and earth. Now, the 3 general stars were at the center of the storm, and the massive chain started to violently sway. What was even more shocking was that the gigantic demonic star, giving off a blood-red light, once again started to slowly spin. With the help of the 3 general stars, the Chaos Imperial Star's power instantly increased by many times, and an even more powerful, evil, and terrifying aura burst forth from the Chaos Imperial Star, causing the heavens and earth to tremble. Shing! Chapter 301. Clang, clang, clang. As the first chain broke, the other chains also broke, and the sound of metal breaking continuously sounded out. The massive demon star in the sky once again gave off immense power as it started to spin. Chains continuously shattered, and the entire sky seemed to twist. Because the chains binding the Chaos Imperial Star continuously broke, the devilish blood-red light once again became brighter, and an even more powerful, evil, and terrifying aura spread throughout the entire world. Clang, clang, clang. Chains continued to break, and soon, only 30 or so chains remained. All of China's sects fell into a state of panic. They had taken great risks to seal the Chaos Imperial Star. The descent of a general emperor star always brought with it a massive amount of fate. Whether or not they succeeded in sealing it together, they would have to pay the price of their lives. Afterwards, not only would they have to face the backlash from the fate of the heavens and earth, but they would also have to face Qin's vengeance. After all, they were sealing their king's imperial star. Many sects were not willing to do this, nor were they willing to oppose Qin. After all, Qin would definitely become one of the most powerful countries in the future, and if they opposed him, they would be offending an incredibly powerful enemy. If that happened, they would most likely be destroyed. However, the Myrtle Imperial Star and the Chaos Demon Star's fusion was simply too monstrous, and it was the most inauspicious star in the world. Not only did it cause all sorts of natural disasters to erupt, reducing all creatures' fate, but it also confused countless people, causing them to fall into a frenzy of slaughter. Cultivators like them would also be heavily injured by this Chaos Imperial Star. It was a disaster for this world. If the Chaos Imperial Star really descended, it would cause a catastrophe in both the Heaven-Awakened world and the real world, and it was possible that the real world would fuse with the Heaven-Awakened world early. Because of these reasons, they had all acted together to seal the Chaos Imperial Star. However, they had never thought that Qin still had the Seven Murders Star, the Voracious Wolf Star, and the Army Destroyer Star. Now, with the help of the three General Stars, the Chaos Imperial Star broke free from their seals and gave off even more terrifying power. Clang, clang, clang. Chains continuously broke, and many of the sect masters and sect masters coughed up mouthfuls of blood. The ground started to tremble as the sky darkened and the sun and moon dimmed. Scenes of the destruction of the world gradually appeared, and an aura of despair started to spread. In the underground region, within the blood-red pillar of light, Zhao Fu's body was quickly being reconstructed. He now had a complete skeleton, and his blood-red flesh and blood had started to grow, and skin had started to grow in many places. Seeing that Zhao Fu's body had been reconstructed by 90%, the blood-red demon star in the sky started to break free from its chains. The blood-red light dyed the entire world a blood-red color, and all creatures started to feel. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as a boundless might spread throughout the heavens and earth. The image of 9 gigantic bronze cauldrons slowly appeared in the sky, giving off an aura that could suppress the heavens and earth. This was Great Xia's nation armament, the Great Yu's 9 province cauldrons. Boom! Another massive explosion sounded out as a world-shaking power suddenly appeared in the heavens and the earth. The image of a tall and luxurious ancient tower slowly appeared in the sky, and it was covered by countless rays of starlight and gave off a boundlessly mysterious aura. This was Great Shang's nation armament, the star-seizing tower. Boom! A massive explosion once again sounded out as a world-shaking power suddenly exploded out. The image of a wordless stone steel appeared in the sky, giving off the aura of a godly spirit. Countless creatures trembled. This was Great Zhou's nation armament, the godly seal board. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as a terrifying power suddenly appeared in the world. The image of a crimson sword slowly appeared in the sky, dyeing the entire sky red. It gave off a terrifying sword aura that seemed to be able to slay dragons. This was the Great Han's nation armament, the White Emperor's sword. The images of 4 nation armaments appeared in 4 different directions around the Chaos Imperial Star. China's 4 great ancient dynasties were willing to use their nation armaments to suppress this descending devil star. Right now, only the 4 great ancient dynasties had the strength to do this, while the other dynasties' legacies and fates were a bit weaker. The appearance of the four-nation armaments shook the heavens and earth, causing the weather to change and lightning to descend. Countless abnormal signs appeared, and the four-nation armaments gave off a heaven-shaking suppressive power, causing space to seem to freeze. Under the combined suppression of the four-nation armaments, the Chaos Imperial Star once again stopped spinning. Seeing this, China's various sects once again activated their formations. Boom, boom, boom. Massive explosions sounded out as massive chains once again rose up from the ground, giving off shocking auras as they tore through the clouds and locked onto the Chaos Imperial Star. The devilish blood-red light that the Chaos Imperial Star gave off once again dimmed, and the entire world once again returned to normal. As the Chaos Imperial Star was once again suppressed, boundless pain assaulted Zhao Fu, and Zhao Fu once again howled in pain. At the entrance to the passageway, Bai Qi and the others' expressions were quite serious, and their bodies were covered with sweat. They desperately tried to break free from the suppressive power, but their effects were minimal. If it was just one nation armament, it would have been fine, but with four nation armaments working together, even the three of them would not be able to stop them. Boom! At that moment, a black pillar of light shot into the sky, giving off heaven-shaking power. Qin's nation armament and clan armament were stimulated by Zhao Fu and shot into the sky. 12 bronze giants giving off heaven-toppling conquering auras blocked between the Great Yu's 9 province cauldrons and Great Shang's star-seizing tower, while the imperial ruler's seal, which was surrounded by 9 massive golden dragons, blocked between Great Zhou's investiture of the gods and the Great Han's white emperor's sword. 5 nation armaments and 1 clan armament clashed in the sky, each giving off an incredibly shocking aura. The sky seemed to be about to shatter, and even godly spirits would feel terror. The people below also felt a heavy pressure, and they could not help but cough up a mouthful of blood. The entire heavens and earth seemed to fall silent, and only the sounds of fighting could be heard in the sky. This massive aura shook the world, and almost the entire world's gazes were focused on this place, sensing that world-destroying power. After a while, in this terrifying battle, Qin started to gain the upper hand. This was because not only were Qin's 12 metal colossi incredibly powerful, but he also had a clan armament, which gradually suppressed the four-nation armaments. Chapter 302. As the gigantic demon star spun in the sky, the blood-red light that seemed to be corporeal once again appeared. This could no longer be described as terrifying. It seemed to be corporeal, and as it landed on the ground, it sliced off countless leaves. An ultimate evil aura spread through the sky, and the entire world seemed to be covered by its shadow. Countless creatures ran in terror, and it was as if the world was on the countdown to destruction. Clang! The sound of metal snapping once again sounded out as the first chain broke. Within the underground region, Zhao Fu's body was quickly being reforged. His body was almost completely reforged, but his heart still had not started beating, making him seem like a dead person. Only when his heart started beating would the reforging be complete, and that would mean that the Chaos Imperial Star had descended. Clang! Another sound of steel snapping resounded through the air. The second chain had also snapped. The demon star continued to slowly spin with immense power, and no matter how much the Chinese sect leaders tried to restrain it, it was to no avail. Within the Holy Church, a kind-looking elder with white hair looked at the Chaos Imperial Star in the distance with a serious expression as he said, "It seems that even the massive China is unable to suppress this Chaos Imperial Star. This Chaos Imperial Star cannot descend, or else it will be a disaster. All members of the Holy Church, heed my orders and activate the Holy Church's magic formation." Within the mosque, an elder wearing a white robe looked at the Chaos Imperial Star in the distance, which was starting to break free from its chains, and gave a heavy sigh. "We can't just stand by and watch, or else the Chaos Imperial Star's descent will be detrimental to everyone. Everyone, heed my orders and activate the ancient orchid formation. Within the Buddhist Holy Land, an old monk dressed in white and holding a magic staff looked into the distance at the Chaos Imperial Star, which was starting to break free from its chains, and said with compassion, "Buddha is merciful. All Buddhist disciples, activate the Buddha light formation." Over at the Great Seal sect, a skinny, dark-skinned elder dressed in yellow monk robes sat cross-legged on the ground as he looked at the Chaos Imperial Star in the distance, which was starting to break free from its chains. He said, "All members of the sect, heed my orders and activate the gate of Saha's formation." By now, all of the sects in the world had decided that the Chaos Imperial Star was China's business. If it descended, it would be a disaster for everyone. Boom, boom, boom. Heaven-shaking explosions sounded out as massive chains stretched out from all over the world, giving off powerful auras as they tore through the clouds and shot towards the massive devilish star in the sky. Boom! Facing the tens of thousands of chains, the 12 metal colossi gave off a heaven-toppling, killing intent, causing the sky to freeze and forming a powerful barrier. Roar! The Imperial Ruler's seal also gave off a brilliant golden light as 9 golden dragons simultaneously roared, tearing through the clouds and tearing apart the sky. The 9 golden dragons became dozens of times larger and gave off powerful auras as they protected the Chaos Imperial Star. The 12 metal colossi and Imperial Ruler's seal were truly worthy of being the 2 most powerful treasures of China. They had borrowed the great fate of the world from the Emperor's Star and received the support of Heaven's will, giving off an incredibly powerful aura that caused the incoming chains to freeze. The countless sect masters and sect masters were incredibly shocked. They knew what they were doing. They were defying the heavens and changing fate. They were defying the will of the heavens and changing the fate of Qin's emperor. Seeing Qin's nation armament and clan armament receive the support of the heaven and earth fate and form a powerful barrier, making it so that the tens of thousands of chains were unable to even get close to the Chaos Imperial Star, they started to panic. Clang! The sound of metal breaking once again sounded out as another chain was broken. The massive Chaos Imperial Star once again started to spin, giving off a powerful aura of suppression. The blood-red light that seemed to be corporeal became even brighter, more evil, and more terrifying. The Chaos Imperial Star's terrifying aura caused the entire world to fall into a deathly silence. Everyone felt that it was impossible to stop the Chaos Imperial Star from descending. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as a shocking power appeared, giving off an immense pressure. The image of a golden cross-shaped sword appeared in the sky, giving off a divine and royal aura. It dyed the sky gold, and all creatures submitted. This was the most legendary sword in the West, the King's Sword. Boom! A massive explosion once again sounded out as a heaven-piercing aura exploded out. The image of a black spear slowly appeared in the sky, giving off a ferocious aura that seemed to be able to conquer the heavens. Countless creatures were terrified. This was the Roman Empire's nation armament. Constantine's spear. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as a terrifying power that seemed to be able to conquer the heavens and earth descended. The image of a golden crown appeared in the sky, giving off a blinding light that seemed like a sun. This was the Pharaoh Kingdom's nation armament, the Sun Crown. Boom! Another massive explosion sounded out as a massive aura exploded out, shaking the heavens and earth. The image of a curved saber slowly appeared in the sky, giving off an incredibly sharp saber aura, causing countless people's hairs to stand on end. This was the Persian Empire's nation armament, the Persian saber. Boom! Another massive explosion sounded out as a terrifying aura rushed into the sky, causing countless people to feel a chill in their hearts. A pure white statue of a male appeared in the sky, giving off an incredibly powerful aura. This was the Alexander Empire's nation armament, the Empire's image. 5 nation armaments that gave off heaven-shaking auras appeared in the sky. These 5 nations were all extremely famous in the history of the world, and they all had massive amounts of fate. By now, the 5 nation armaments had joined together with China's 4 nation armaments, creating a total of 9 nation armaments. Each of them gave off a massive amount of fate and a boundless aura that seemed to be able to suppress the heavens and seal the way as they slowly spread out. The 9 nation armaments easily broke through the barrier formed by Qin's 12 metal colossi and imperial ruler's seal, and they combined their power to suppress the 12 metal colossi and imperial ruler's seal. The 12 metal colossi and imperial ruler's seal desperately resisted, but they were no match for the 9 nation armaments and were gradually suppressed. As the 12 metal colossi and imperial ruler's seal were suppressed, the countless chains quickly flew over and locked down the Chaos Imperial Star. The massive Chaos Imperial Star in the sky was locked down by thousands of chains from all over the world, and even the 3 general stars were locked down by dozens of chains. The 12 metal colossi and imperial ruler seal were also completely suppressed by the 9 nation armaments. At that moment, everyone in the world let out a sigh of relief. The Chaos Imperial Star had been locked down, and Qin was unable to retaliate at all. Now it was time to seal the Chaos Imperial Star and the 3 general stars. Chapter 303. The Chaos Imperial Star was bound by countless chains, and the blood-red light it gave off gradually dimmed. The massive aura it gave off seemed to disappear, and it looked like a normal star. However, it was slightly red, and it no longer looked as devilish and terrifying as before. Heaven, earth, cosmos, profound gate, Qi, of all living things, he my command seal. My Buddha is merciful, deliver all living beings from suffering. Buddha's light illuminates the world and drives away evil. Seal. In, the 5 elements. The 5 elements create each other. The 5 elements destroy each other. The 5 elements combine into one seal. Seeing that the Chaos Imperial Star was locked down and could not resist at all, the sect masters did not hesitate and started to chant sealing techniques, wanting to quickly seal the Chaos Imperial Star to prevent anything unexpected from happening. After all, the Chaos Imperial Star was simply too terrifying to deal with. Following this, the countless sect masters started to unleash their seals. There seemed to be a formless energy in the sky that grabbed onto the Chaos Imperial Star and slowly pulled it upwards. The 3 general stars around it were also pulled upwards. In the underground region, Zhao Fu's heart was still not beating, and he looked like a dead person. At the entrance, Bai Qi and the others did their best to resist, but it was to no avail. Not only were they unable to help the Chaos Imperial Star, but their general stars were also sealed. Now, Qin did not have much power to resist so many nation armaments and sects. At the Westfall restaurant, Shinru looked up at the scene of the Chaos Imperial Star being sealed and gave a long sigh. This wasn't something that she could change, and it was completely out of her expectations. The descent of the Chaos Imperial Star was incredibly terrifying, and all of the sects and factions in the world were forced to seal it. Even her own sect master was involved, so how could she interfere? In another region, Zhang Heng, who was riding on his donkey, watched as the Chaos Imperial Star was about to be sealed. His expression darkened, and he inwardly sighed. This was a great loss for China. It was a pity that this star was too ominous, or else it would have been of great help to China. Suyan also looked up at the scene of the Chaos Imperial Star being sealed, and he couldn't help but laugh. Qin's power had always been suppressed in his heart, making him feel quite uncomfortable. The countless legatees all looked quite happy. Great Qin had always been in the limelight, and the power it had displayed was simply too monstrous. It had always been an existence that countless people feared, and now the entire world was standing against it. If the Chaos Imperial Star and the 3 general stars were sealed, it would be a heavy blow to Great Qin. In terms of fate, Great Qin's power would at most be on par with other dynasty legatees, and it would not be more than 10 times more powerful than others. In terms of a situation, Qin was in a more difficult situation because he was facing the whole world. Does Qin dare to go against the whole world? Of course not, because no matter how powerful one was, no one dared to go against the entire world. The Chaos Imperial Star being sealed is the result. After this incident, Qin had become estranged from the major powers of the world. The major powers also knew that their actions had angered Qin, and they could foresee the consequences in the future. Even though they had been forced to do this, they were still afraid of Qin's revenge. Because of this, the factions would definitely not be on good terms with Qin. This gave them a chance to develop, and there was nothing to fear about Qin now. Of course, the countless factions rejoiced over the sealing of Qin's Imperial Star. The massive demon star and the 3 general stars in the sky were pulled upwards by a formless energy, and the top of the Chaos Imperial Star could no longer be seen. It looked like the entire Chaos Imperial Star was about to be pulled into the sky. The matter of the Chaos Imperial Star being sealed was already a foregone conclusion in countless people's hearts. What kind of power could resist 9 nation armaments and 1,000 chains? There is none. In the underground region, Zhao Fu lay naked on the altar without any signs of life or heartbeat, looking like a corpse. Suddenly, a circular diagram gradually appeared on the back of Zhao Fu's right hand. This diagram was a circle with 8 runes on it. The runes were quite profound and were spread out in 8 directions. At the center of the 8 runes was a black dot, which was the Earth Realm Mark. At that moment, the Earth Realm Mark gave off a faint 7-colored light, causing Zhao Fu's right hand to slowly raise and grab at the air. Boom! A muffled explosion sounded out throughout the entire world, and no matter where one was, one could clearly hear this muffled explosion. Immediately, the countless sect masters and sect masters were greatly startled because all of the heaven and earth's spirit chi and fate started to gather at a single place. Clouds swirled, and everyone could clearly sense the flow of spirit chi and fate. At the entrance to the underground region, Bai Qi and the others could sense this massive flow, and they were all shocked as they looked down. All of the sect masters and sect masters felt that something was wrong, and they quickly sealed the Chaos Imperial Star. However, the blue sky once again darkened, and a boundless darkness descended. All of the sect masters and sect masters were once again startled because they found that the seal had lost its effect. A pair of massive blood-red eyes, giving off an icy and evil aura, slowly opened in the sky. Immediately, countless cracks appeared in the sky as a heaven-toppling might descended. No matter who it was, whether they were legatees, sect elders, or city lords, everyone felt their bodies sink, and it was as if their hearts had been gripped by a massive hand. Their backs felt cold, and their legs became weak. It was an instinctive fear. This pair of blood-red eyes had vertical pupils and did not contain a trace of human emotion. They gave off a devilish blood-red light and were filled with boundless evil. The place where the blood-red eyes appeared was above the Chaos Imperial Star. The Chaos Imperial Star was between the 2 blood-red eyes, and in front of the massive blood-red eyes, the Chaos Imperial Star seemed incredibly small. It was as big as a bottle cap, and from a distance, the Chaos Imperial Star was between the eyebrows of the 2 eyes. This pair of blood-red eyes gave off a boundless heavenly might as it looked down at the countless creatures below, causing their hearts to feel a chill. Massive waves crashed in the hearts of the sect masters and sect masters, and they did not even have the courage to look up at the blood-red eyes. They could sense heavenly energy, which was the source energy of this world. This time, they had lost in defying the heavens and changing their fates. They had never thought that this sealing would cause heavenly energy to interfere. It seemed that heaven's will was not so easy to defy, and the sect masters and sect masters felt incredibly bitter. The blood-red eyes gave off a terrifying gaze as they first looked at the 9 nation armaments. Immediately, the images of the 9 nation armaments soundlessly collapsed, and the legatees of the 9 great kingdoms were given a big fright as they felt a formless energy attack them. They were sent flying and coughed up a mouthful of blood as the bones in their chests broke, and they powerlessly lay on the ground. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.